Hi, everybody. Welcome to FNS Wrestling Podcast, episode 66. As you heard from the little soundbite intro there, we are back in the basement to discuss another week of wrestling. I'm your host, back with my co-host and teenage son, Jackson. Say hello, Jack.
Hi.
Well, we finally made it, right? We are, long story short, 3 of the 4 members of our household have
3 of the 5?
Counting
4
the cat.
of the 5,
sorry,
actually.
Counting the cat. Yeah, she always has the week off.
Yes.
But everybody but your younger brother, shall we say, has next week off of work and school. So it's been a very challenging beginning to this school year. So we are all really looking forward to a week off. So we may have a little more energy today than normal, just knowing we've got a full week of not too much planned, maybe a couple trips to see a couple friends. I think my parents are going to come up tomorrow, and then just a lot of time to do what we want to do for a week, which is fantastic. If you are a new listener, welcome. Returning listeners, welcome back. If you'd like to contact us about anything wrestling related or anything really, it's fnswrestling@gmail.com, FNS_wrestling_podcast on Instagram.
Yes.
Or you can leave a comment in YouTube if that's where you happen to be listening.
Yep.
And so what's new with you, Jackson? Anything exciting to talk about? You had 2 tests yesterday. One got canceled.
Yeah.
That's nice. And the other one you did pretty well on.
Yeah.
We already got the results back. But anyways. So how was your week other than that? Exciting?
Yes,
Very.
definitely.
School is
Super
always exciting.
Yes.
Cold weather has moved in, right? We had a bit of a lingering, really
it was pretty cold last morning.
Yeah, we had really nice lingering warm weather for, usually by now it's already getting cool, right? Because we're coming up on Halloween, and it seems like a lot of Halloweens it's like cold and raining, right? So we kind of have had really nice...
Halloween has to be miserable.
Of course. We had really nice weather up until about yesterday, so I don't know if the nice weather's gone, but... living where we live in southern Ontario, we do get pretty severe winters, so I guess it's on its way in.
Yeah.
But not much new.
I just want to snow like crap near Christmas, and then...
I like snow. I like winter, so I'm one of those weirdos that really likes winter.
I don't mind it. Yeah, I like it.
So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have too much exciting to talk about from my week, really. I don't know. Anything exciting for you?
No.
Nothing
not
exciting?
Really.
Do you want to get right into talking about some wrestling?
Yeah.
Let's do that. So our first segment, as most of you probably know by now, is going to be where we talk about some wrestling news and rumors. So the ratings, obviously I do not have Dynamite's ratings for this week.
Still yet to happen.
It is happening tonight.
I saw a thing that because Bound for Glory is also tonight, so
it is.
That'll be kind of interesting.
It is. Yeah, that's right. So I'm probably going to watch both at some point, obviously not simultaneously, but so last Saturday then, a week from today, that edition of AEW Dynamite drew 727,000 viewers, which is down almost 31%, drew a 0.28 in the key 18 to 49 demo, which is also down over 24%. So I think the easiest comparison, obviously they're going to lose some numbers moving from their normal time slot on a Wednesday night to a Saturday night where people...
But I do believe they advertise they're back next week.
Right. People do have more to do generally on a Saturday, and there is more options sports-wise probably on that Saturday night. So I think the best comparison would be to look at the last Saturday Night Dynamite episode, which was on June 26th, and it drew a 649,000 viewers and a 0.21 in the demo. So the one from this past Saturday, the numbers are better than that. I think that's the most fair comparison I could find. So it seems like maybe those October 16th numbers aren't that bad. I don't really know, but it's obviously down from the million, just over 1 million they usually get on Wednesday. But compared to other Saturdays that they've done, it doesn't seem too bad. So I imagine they're okay with it. I don't really know, but the numbers don't seem that bad to me. So Tuesday, the live Halloween Havoc Go Home edition that we obviously loved a lot. You'll hear us talk about it.
Yeah.
Well, that's coming up, I guess. It drew 606,000 viewers, so down again, just over 4%, though not a big drop, and drew a 0.14 in the 18 to 49 demographic, which is down 6.66% on episode 66. That's a lot of sixes flying at us, right?
6.
So to be fair, this week's NXT did have strong competition from the NBA that's just started up and Major League Baseball, which is just finishing up in the playoffs. But still, this is the lowest viewership since the taped episode on September 1st and is the 7th lowest audience of this year for NXT so far. So it sort of feels like it's how we feel. It seems like a few people are just kind of dropping out every week, and you're also thinking about dropping out of NXT
pretty soon.
I was thinking last night, what would you think about if we do stop covering it? What about we like check in once a month or something?
Yeah, maybe. Or
like,
I'll probably
if they ever do pay-per-views
at some point. If they did Takeover, I would probably look at that.
Me too.
But...
And then I think maybe the odd check-in. I mean, we're going to at least give Halloween Havoc a chance next week and sort of make our decision from there. But it's been many, many weeks of like, you've been in the D to F range every week. I've been in the D's to, I think, maybe 1 C-, but not one enjoyable show since it's changed. Right. So not to spoil our review coming up. But so yeah, we'll see where we stand with NXT. Seems like fans are also kind of tuning out a little bit as well. Yeah. Anything from you?
Yeah, so hold on, let me scroll. Daniel Garcia officially signed with AEW.
He did.
So he's with them now.
And they seem to love him. Like, he seems to be very, I don't know, people are very high on this kid. I am too. It's just interesting. I like him,
but I feel like it's like a lot.
He does get a lot of attention, right, for the amount that we've seen him so far. But, I mean, hopefully he's really good and they use him well.
Yeah.
Apparently a big update on Braun Strowman and Impact Wrestling.
So, I did see something about him, yeah.
Adam Scherr, right, formerly known as Braun Strowman, is expected to debut with Impact Wrestling soon.
Formerly known as a Rosebud as well.
That's true. I guess the likely assumption is that he will debut this weekend at their, I think it's their biggest pay-per-view, right? They would consider it.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was Slammiversary at first, but I do believe like
they consider this their Mania. So that's Bound for Glory. It's actually tonight, as we talked about. It's going to go up against Dynamite, kind of interestingly enough. So
it's good TV show versus big pay-per-view. So I'm actually kind of interested.
Right. So PW Insider is sort of saying there's a good chance he makes his debut on Bound for Glory tonight. And apparently he was spotted flying to Las Vegas from Chicago. Yeah, that's what I read, yeah. Where obviously it's taking place in Las Vegas. And apparently he will use the nickname Titan as his sort of moniker going forward.
Which I feel like that would suck.
Anyways, but I don't know how I feel about it. I'm happier he's going to Impact than AEW because I just don't feel like he fits AEW at all.
No, he doesn't.
But he could fit in Impact Wrestling, so we'll see where that goes.
He's not terrible. He's just not AEW.
He's not an AEW guy, in my opinion, anyways.
No, I agree with that. And Brock Lesnar is being advertised for Royal Rumble 2022.
Of course he is.
Right, and the rumored Mania plan is him versus Roman Reigns for the first time ever.
Yes.
And so he did get they've done this before too. I know they did because remember when Rollins cashed in?
Yes.
Lesnar was champion then, right? And then he got suspended for a while and then came back, faced Rollins at Battleground. But so they've done the Lesnar suspension angle before. It's a cop out, you know what I mean?
And they just don't know how to build anyone else. So for their big shows, they're just like, who's a name somebody knows?
Brock
Lesnar.
Back.
He can do one of his 5 matches. So they
suspended Brock again. So that kind of for me fuels this rumor of him going to Mania with Roman, which I hate because Roman has had a really good run, and a new star or a newer star deserves to be made out of this.
Yes, and they don't know how to do that, and they don't care.
I hate them retreating to Brock Lesnar of all people every time. He's already held the Universal title more than anyone else. He doesn't need to have it again. And I don't know. He's just, and now he has to speak for himself too. Yep. So
we've said it before: lowest ratings ever, but highest profits ever. So what's their motivation to try? Just go back to that well, right?
Yes.
So, I don't know. It seems like their standard stuff.
But, I mean, I might have some patience for it because, again, it is a fresh matchup, right? So
super fresh. Speaking of WWE main roster, there's some possible plans sort of revealed. And one I think we sort of talked about and maybe even predicted.
I read it, yeah.
But regarding Hit Row, word is that Top Dollar will be pushed as a singles superstar on SmackDown, according to PW Insider, while Ashanti Theodonis and Swerve Scott will be used as a tag team, of course.
That is so backwards.
Hit Row will remain together as a group with B-Fab probably working in the women's division. And of course, like we said, our prediction, Dalla is big and Swerve is not. And Dalla is young and Swerve is not. So this ticks all the boxes for WWE main roster and even NXT now. Wrestling ability, doesn't really matter that much, right? It's about
which is
size.
what Swerve has going for him,
right? Which is what Top Dollar is sort of still pretty inexperienced. Like I think he's fine, but he has some room to grow for sure.
I think they were smart to put him in a tag team with Adonis, who's not super experienced either, but he's got some talent, and like I don't mind a big man, little man team, and I don't know.
So they're just reducing Swerve before he even starts, basically, right? Like already take him from the leader of this really cool group and an awesome guy in the ring and put him in a tag team because he's small and old.
Apparently Apollo and Commander Z are going to be a tag team now.
Yep.
So, yeah.
It might even be coming up. A couple other things from the main roster. WWE has obviously split up Tegan Nox and Shotzi Blackheart.
Which that's good for Tegan.
So word now is Shotzi will be a heel on SmackDown. Tegan will be a babyface on Raw.
How are they going to book her as a heel?
I don't know.
Because I hate her, but everyone loves her.
So they'll... I don't know.
And for me, it's going to be go away heat.
They don't care what the crowd's reaction is. They just tell you, right? If you don't like it, they'll just keep ramming it down your throat. She's a heel. Then current plans for Xia Li are for her to be a babyface on SmackDown. I saw that too,
which that also confuses me.
Me too.
If anything, I would reverse Shotzi and Xia Li here.
They're probably just changing her gimmick, right?
Imagine she's not going to be... I see Xia Li working heel better than...
Me too.
Shotzi, and I'm surprised they resisted the urge to call up the Tian Sha thing.
Yes, though that's apparently...
I mean, I understand them leaving Boa in the dust, but like, I'm surprised they only took Xia Li.
I think Tian Sha gimmick's pretty much done at this point, probably.
But it feels like the supernatural crap that they love.
Yep, apparently Mia Yim's going to be a babyface on Raw.
I don't buy that, she sucks.
And as you said, a plan for another new tag team that's probably going to be Cruz and Commander Aziz is what they think. So... I don't really know if I care much about any of this since I don't watch any of these shows.
I don't care about Mia Yim because I don't like her and I haven't seen her in ages.
She's okay. I don't think there's anything wrong with me. I don't think she's amazing, but I don't think there's any... Compared to a lot of the talent on the roster, she's fine. So I thought this might be interesting for somebody out there listening. I don't watch the main roster very much, so it's not a big deal to me, but it did seem newsworthy.
Except for the pay-per-views, and then we get sad, and then we don't watch them.
Sometimes. What else do you have?
Buddy Matthews set to debut in New Japan Pro Wrestling on November 13th. Who's Buddy Matthews, you may ask?
Good for him.
Buddy frickin' Murphy, yes sir. That would be very nice.
It's too bad because we won't see him because we don't really watch New Japan.
No.
But good for him because that's
but I don't know. I don't know where to watch it, and it might be... I don't know. I think I'm too late. So.
And we have a lot of wrestling already that we watch.
As it is, yes.
But yeah, good for him. He got signed somewhere. I assume that's where he wanted to be. He probably had offers from a few other places, so hopefully that works out for him.
And
because he's pretty awesome.
Forbidden Door.
Right.
Doesn't exactly rule out anywhere else.
Could end up in North America too, wrestling. Right. So that's cool. So what else do I have here? Impact apparently and New Japan Pro Wrestling are both interested in former WWE NXT superstar Bronson Reed.
Oh my god, that was literally going to be my next one, is that multiple promotions are interested in him. Yeah.
So Jonah Rock is his name now. Apparently has a few options. Fightful Select is reporting that he has interest from New Japan and Impact, and according to the report, New Japan has made, quote, a big play, unquote, to bring in Rock, while Impact has also expressed a level of interest, whatever that means.
That's good, because I like him.
How specific is that? They've expressed a level of interest. What level that is,
they kind of have
no
to,
idea.
But...
Right. Selfishly, I'd like to see him go to Impact because I watch it, and I think he would actually be a nice addition there.
Yeah, I wouldn't... I don't think they need to sign him, but I wouldn't mind him in AEW compared to Strowman.
Yes, I agree. Because he works a different style that I think would fit in, right?
Yeah, he was pretty good. I didn't love him, but
you started to by the end like him.
I did like him.
I mostly liked him
and then, of course, that's when he gets released.
Right. Anything else?
No, you took my last one.
I threw in one. I got a couple more. This one's mostly just to annoy you, so because I'm nice like that. Mandy Rose says she wants to show ruthless aggression in WWE NXT. Because I know you love Mandy Rose.
Oh, yes, and a call back.
So
yes.
A comment from her on what fans can expect from her character moving forward. I would say ruthless aggression. That is what comes to my mind in the first place. My whole career has been the Golden Goddess, God's greatest creation. A lot of it has been based on my looks, and that is fine. Would you not suggest, sorry to cut her quote off in the middle, that's still what her thing is about?
She literally changed her look.
Right, but it's still about how hot she is, right?
Right, the toxic attraction. She literally said that in her promo on NXT, which we'll talk about that beautiful, beautiful piece.
But at the end of the day, I want to be known for my abilities, my athleticism, how hard I have trained.
She doesn't have abilities, though.
And how hard I have worked to get where I have got, and not just about my looks. Yeah, it's great to look amazing and pretty, but that won't always be there.
I think it will if you're in a company run by Vince McMahon.
But she's right in terms of like once she gets over like whatever the magic age is, they're gonna be like, you're old, and it's significantly younger for women than it is for men, which is ridiculous. But anyways, she says, I'm a little edgier and have a ruthless side of me I'm excited to show.
So what abilities is she talking about exactly?
Her knee looks good sometimes.
No, it doesn't.
I think it does.
It does not.
I don't think she's as bad as you think she is,
but I don't.
It's probably
the worst knee strike I've seen.
I don't think she's as good as WWE thinks she is. She's somewhere in the middle.
I think she's bad because I've had to watch her since she came to the main roster. So I don't want her.
I've been watching her since before that.
I know. I remember her in that one NXT match. It was like during the draft because I remember that her and DeVille were in that too.
She's one that suffered from being called up far too soon. Like, she wasn't ready to go up, much like Dana Brooke and a few others, and they just
never bothered.
Aren't good enough to do what they're supposed to be doing. But anyways, the last thing I have sort of affects Bound for Glory. Tenille Dashwood has been pulled from that show. She won't be working Bound for Glory pay-per-view
Digital media
tonight.
thingy-majiggy?
She's been replaced by Madison Rayne in the 6-way match for Impact's new Digital Media Championship. And I don't think it's major news, but I thought it was interesting that there's absolutely no reason given. Nothing about an injury, nothing about anything, just that she has been taken off the show. Even her own tweet that I saw about it reveals no details about why. Because normally they'll at least say it's some sort of injury or whatever, but there was no reason given. So I found that a little bit interesting. Maybe it's nothing, but I thought it was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be it for me for news. You have nothing left?
Nope.
So let's then move into talking about that juggernaut of a television program that is NXT 2.0. So the show starts, as it usually does, with a quick recap of the main storyline from last week, which was Carmelo Hayes cashing in his opportunity that he got from winning the breakout tournament. He cashed that in as a surprise.
Even though I don't think that's how it works.
No, it suddenly was how it works, I guess. So he cashes in for the North American Championship at the end of a match where, what happened? He pinned Swerve, he pinned Escobar.
Yeah,
yes.
Swerve.
Swerve retained, right, against Escobar, and then he...
One successful defense, 100-something days or something. Yes.
So interesting, we didn't really talk about it, but how do you feel about Carmelo Hayes using this to cash in on the secondary championship, not going for the main title with that cash in? I mean, it makes sense.
I guess it's to feather in the cap with the North American title.
And it's just because of where he's like slotted, right? Like, you would think no matter what, whoever it was, if they're an ambitious person.
That is what happened in the first one, but then he lost to Cole.
Right. And so he's supposed to be this ambitious, cocky, like overconfident guy, but he's not going for the main title, right? Which I thought is kind of strange.
Yeah, I guess so. And then I don't know, they really messed up Swerve here.
Well,
they were finally getting him right with Hit Row, and then they gave him the title, which was also a right move, and then they just totally fudged it.
Yeah, it's not great. But anyways, that's basically all they recap here. And then we go to Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams make their way to the ring. Alicia Taylor, the ring announcer, I guess, she introduces Carmelo as the new NXT North American champion. Trick tells her that sounded so nice, he needs to hear her say it twice. So she does the introduction over again.
Which I always think is a weird thing. Just, I don't know. I don't love it.
There was a "You deserve it" chant breaks out in the crowd, I guess. And
for the heel.
And Trick says that they look good and have money, but most importantly, they have gold, which I don't know.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking. I don't love that.
Yeah.
What did he do in this situation?
Not much. He says there's nothing humble about them. You can find humble in the dictionary after hell no. And he says that we're having a melibration tonight. Hayes then takes over. He says that he stepped...
Melibration? Whoa, is Carmelo coming back too?
Exactly, same thing. He stepped on the scene 4.5 months ago and blew through the breakout tournament to prove he's the final boss. Don't like that either.
Why?
Because that's Meiko Satomura's name, and she's...
I feel like it's only been 4 months.
She's fantastic, and she works for the same company, and you're just lifting her nickname. But anyways.
I don't even know if, I guess he's the final boss for Swerve in that situation, but, I don't know. I don't think... I don't really care about Satomura but like I
She's
don't know.
awesome.
I don't think this really tracks either way. You know what I mean?
Yep.
The whole final boss thing.
Mello says he walked around for 2 months like Mello in the chocolate factory, waiting for the opportunity to take what's his. And then he swerve. He says when he shoots, he doesn't miss. And from this point on, he's calling the shots. He's the leader of the new school. And it's the A championship as long as it's around his waist. He doesn't care if Ciampa, management, or anyone else has a problem with it. Then we get the music of Johnny Gargano, and he comes out. He says that the energy in the room just changed. He doesn't think they've been introduced. He introduces himself saying he's had his eye on Mello. As someone who's held the title more times than anyone, Gargano wanted to come out and congratulate Hayes. He says that this is a Mellobration and it's fun, and he's having a lot of fun lately. Makes reference to bachelor parties, weddings, and honeymoons. Yay. But he says with Austin Theory on Raw, Indy Hartwell now married, and Candice at home pregnant, he's lost his way. See what he did there?
Mm-hmm.
Genius.
But not really.
Kind of, mostly, I think. He thinks what's next for him is staring him in the face, being in this ring in front of these people against someone like Hayes. He says there's a first time for everything regarding Mello not missing when he shoots, and suggests Hayes should take a shot at him. Trick steps in, says that Indy has been in Mello's DMs all week, and again, we get this like juvenile stuff, right, that they just kind of add in. Gargano says that's funny, then mentions his son-in-law quickly, and Dexter Lumis appears kind of out of nowhere behind the heels here. Hayes and Trick escape, and I think Lumis briefly grabbed Trick, right, and had him like in the silence or whatever, I think.
Yeah, or I like to call it silencer. I think that works better. But yes, and then Hayes kind of pulls him out, and then they run off, but they want to get the belt, and belt's in the ring, and Lumis is the scariest thing known to mankind, so.
Right, they left the belt behind when they escaped, so then it was like Hayes kind of shoves Trick back into the ring, right, so he's face-to-face with Lumis, and then they end up sort of backing away, and Lumis and Gargano share a thumbs up, right, as Hayes and Williams are out on the ramp kind of looking angry about the whole situation. What did you think of this opening segment?
I thought the segment was fine. I still don't think Trick Williams is very good at all, and Hayes' promo was fine. Thought Gargano was fine as well. I'm happy to see him back. I think he's really good, but and he's a babyface, but it sucks that cause he's definitely not the babyface that I want him to be, and he's affiliated with Lumis, which I don't think that really helps. I feel like also his underdog thing would be going up against Hayes and Trick Williams.
Yes.
Whereas now he has Lumis with him, and I don't know. I feel like Gargano worked as like the Daniel Bryan-esque underdog.
Yes,
and
100%.
I feel like I don't like Lumis to begin with, but he also takes away from that babyface Gargano that I want to be back. We're almost there, right?
Yeah, they teased us that he's getting away from the way.
Right, like he lost his way, but not completely. Right, so like you're like, oh, he's lost his way, and I'm like.
Although, to be fair, Lumis was never part of the way.
Right, so but he is the embodiment and reminder of everything.
He's way adjacent.
Right, and he is the walking embodiment of everything I dislike about the way.
So I think Hayes looks good with the belt. When he came out, he looked kind of like a star to me.
A lot of people look good with that belt, man. I think it looks really good on people,
yeah.
You know?
He looked like a star to me, and he has good charisma. He spoke well, but for me, he's like trying to get too many phrases over right now. Like he needs to calm down on the catchphrases
Mello, don't
a little
miss.
bit.
Mello, don't miss.
That one's constant, but then I felt like there was a couple more here.
Final boss.
That he was introducing.
Yeah.
I guess he did a good job of further establishing the heel character here. I think Trick was okay here because they didn't give him very much, because I also don't think he's really adding much to this pairing at this point. And like you said, nice to see Gargano back. And I think this is him basically casting off the way. Pretty much officially, and returning to that straightforward babyface mode where he is like, I don't think you disagree, he's one of the best ever straight up pure baby faces, right? So
especially in NXT,
even if we get something approaching that and not the way in full effect,
it's a step in the right direction, at least,
for sure. I think this segment was too long to start out a show for me, because I like a match, as you know, near the beginning or at the beginning.
Yeah, but this show's dumb, so.
I'm not sure about Lumis and Gargano together either, but I thought Hayes and Gargano did a fine job here, at least.
Mm-hmm.
We then move to our first match of the night, and it's Odyssey Jones versus Andrade Chase. So Chase is doing the Chase University segments, and he's sort of been using those to take shots at Odyssey Jones, who I guess has had enough of it. So it starts out with a Chase headlock and a kick that does little other than make Odyssey Jones angry. We get a shoulder tackle to Chase, and then Jones throws him across the ring a couple times. We get a second rope drop kick and some double stomps by Chase. Jones then powers out of a cover attempt, the classic like big man throws him off the pinfall attempt.
Can't not.
And then takes over the match after catching a one more punch that sort of again like triggers him, I guess, and makes him angry more than anything.
Hulks up.
A bunch of basic power stuff by Jones before a somersault just kind of over top of Chase, who's lying on the mat. Like, it didn't look that impactful to me.
And he's wearing, I think this was like, he was wearing the plain black singlet, so
right.
He's really
toning it down.
Yeah, and driving home the point that, this guy's boring.
And then he hits a splash, just a running splash for the win in just under
3 minutes.
This is the new game as Jack and I are watching the show. It basically, all of these matches, I just have to say it's just under or just over.
Even said that this guy, he's like Mark Henry.
And
yes. Then I was like, no, Mark Henry's better.
Yeah, so Nate walked in and
he even did the world's strongest splash.
He did. So, I don't know, what'd you think of this match?
I don't know, another short match. Jones is not very good. I don't think Chase can carry him, literally and figuratively.
Yes.
I don't know how good Chase is, but I wouldn't know from watching the show because they don't care enough to show me. And even if he is winning the matches, they're too short. Yep. So there's really no substance to any match. Basically, it's going to be a recurring theme. I'm going to be repeating myself numerous times here, but you really can't get a lot from these.
There's not much we can say, right? My comments are standard NXT match at this point.
Like, it sounds like we don't have a lot of insight, and that's because we can't.
No, Chase got some offense. Jones dominates to win. Again, Jones still doesn't impress me. It's all really basic stuff, and I think I mentioned it before, and then the other guy can't do much to him.
He doesn't really have a lot of personality to me. Like, he's just, like, kind of like a hype, kind of almost happy to be there big man.
Right.
Like, that... Yes, that's like, I don't know, like, he has a bit of it, but, like, that's really not, like, that's so basic,
Every match feels the same right now to me.
Yeah.
It's bland.
More or less.
Bland, boring, and predictable. I don't know. They need to do something different with Jones. They clearly like him, but I'm not interested so far.
Yeah, they're walking on thin ice with me.
They then have Malcolm Bivens, he's talking as they're sort of walking backstage. The rest of Diamond Mine are sort of in tow behind him. He says that earlier today he was doing what he does best, minding his own business and not getting jumped in the parking lot. See, he knows about the parking lot.
That's true.
Right? He's a smart man.
See, that's why he's their manager. He's smart.
He heard a lot of people asking for championship opportunities, also true, and thought that was crazy because
and making the matches.
Because the Creed brothers actually deserve a shot. That's what he's saying here. He says he knows how now that he knows how it works, Diamond Mine won't be asking for opportunities. They'll take it.
They'll make it.
Any thoughts?
I thought it was fine. Obviously it's heel logic, but I don't think they deserve a title shot just for squashing jobbers. But I mean,
his thing is, you just ask for a shot. I see how that's sort of how it works.
They at least have a little bit of reason to ask for a shot. Like, I mean, it's jobbers, but
nobody has any reason. So that's what he's saying.
That's true. Yeah.
Right?
Like, yeah. No. I wish I was joking, but that's literally how... Where has William Regal been since NXT 2.0? Where has he been?
The precedent has been set of just asking for matches or saying you have a match
and you get it. It's been over a month. Where has
he
been?
I don't know.
I don't know. It's like that fake retirement segment with Samoa Joe. It's like that's actually taken into effect now.
Pretty much. I thought this was a good promo. I thought it was a little different tone for Bivens. It seemed a bit more like aggressive and heelish. And I think he makes a decent point, right? You and I have been complaining that wrestlers in NXT just make their own matches, even for titles. So Bivens noticed this, and he's like...
I enjoyed Waller's showcase against Strong, but even then, that was literally Waller
just saying,
coming out,
yes,
I want a title shot, right? So
Bivens, being smart, is using that information to his advantage now, like any good manager should. So this was a pretty quick promo, but I thought it made sense.
Yep.
We then get the Creed brothers with the rest of Diamond Mine taking on Imperium. And I don't normally notice outfits. That's usually your thing. But I couldn't stand the singlets the Creeds were wearing.
I didn't love it, especially compared to, especially for me, because they're
so I'm
amateur
colorblind,
wrestlers.
So I don't know what color they were.
They're gray. They're light gray.
They looked washed out.
They had a lot of logos, right?
It was Diamond Mine. Yeah, there was Diamond Mine stuff all over it.
And it looks like that would be like a onesie.
I just thought it looked like a washed out color. I don't know if that's the right term,
feel
even. Not being good with colors.
Obviously, it's just a singlet. They're not wearing pants, but if they were wearing pants and stuff, that looked like a freaking onesie.
I don't even mind the singlet, but the color was
singlet
bugging
works
me.
because they're the amateur wrestlers. That's kind of like the archetype, I guess,
yes.
Kurt Angle. But I liked the black singlets that they had. I think that that fits the archetype better.
I agree. So Brutus and Eichner start out and battle to no real advantage. Then Bartel's in. He gets slammed before some holds and counters. We get a belly-to-belly overhead by Brutus. Uppercut running PK by Bartel, but he takes the time to pose a little bit, and so that allows the Creeds to take over again. Julius is in now. He takes an enziguri and a suplex from Bartel. Gut wrench suplex easily by Julius. The Creeds then isolate Bartel. He eventually escapes and tags in Eichner, who takes out both Creeds, including catching Brutus and hitting a rolling senton, which looked pretty good. And Julius needed to come in and break up the pin, and he sort of dragged his brother back to the corner so they could make a tag. Bartel is caught coming off the ropes. Julius hits a doctor bomb, and Eichner needs to break up that pinfall. And then we get
gut wrench powerbomb, yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Ikemen Jiro and Kushida run out. Diamond Mine are sort of distracted there for a second. So back in the ring.
Yeah, even one of the Creed brothers brawls with them, which that's kind of stupid.
Right, he kind of leaves the match.
I guess that would be strong find them on his own, but like.
Well, wasn't Ivy Nile there? She's a killer.
I guess. Right. But like, I guess so.
Back in the ring, Bartel rolls up Julius, and Imperium get the win in a very WWE style match. In about 5.5 minutes.
In a very WWE style manner of winning, yes.
Yes, for sure.
So I noticed that Creed Brothers had their own theme too, and I was like, okay, now I really see how it is. But I think the original Diamond Mine theme, which I actually like it. I think it's pretty good.
Yep.
I think that might just be Strong's now, and it is titled as such, like on the song release, like on iTunes and YouTube.
Right.
But that was because they released the song in between Rust getting released and the Creed Brothers joining, right? So
sure.
That was when it was just Strong. So like they would title it just Strong because there wasn't really Diamond Mine.
Right.
And then the Creed Brothers even used that theme up until now. And I did check. This is the same theme that Ivy Nile used, so I'm curious if this is going to be the Diamond Mine group theme, and then Roderick Strong will keep the original one, or like they'll all use this one. Right. I personally like the first one better, but that's a me thing.
I imagine they'll all use the same theme. That's my prediction.
Although
I could
see Strong using a different one because he's the leader, but I don't know. I hope he does because I know,
but it almost. I guess he's the leader. I don't think is right. He's the featured guy, but he's not talking or doing anything. Bivens is the leader. I think it feels like.
I don't know. I feel like. I don't know. Leader. It's like I don't know. It's hard to picture a manager as leader because like they.
Right, but Roddy literally doesn't even speak. He's definitely the like main guy, but
yeah, that's kind of what I mean. I guess then.
Yeah.
But so I thought the match was fine. It wasn't great, but I guess it wasn't bad again. Short. I don't know how long it was, but I don't really care.
5.5 minutes.
That sounds right.
Yeah,
there really wasn't anything of note up until the screwy finish, which we always love to see. Mm-hmm. And no one really benefits from this. I'll say that a bunch of times when we get a finish like this. Nobody benefits from this.
Right.
Like the Creed brothers have now taken their first loss, and Imperium get a win that doesn't really like do anything for them because they didn't actually really win.
They beat a rookie team, although they've looked impressive, and they had they needed help.
Rookie team nonetheless, right?
I think I agree a lot with you. Decent little match. The finish is very WWE. They seem to kind of have plans for both teams, right? Like Imperium looks like they may get. I think they may actually take the titles from MSK. So they have plans, and then the Creed brothers are the new up-and-coming kind of tag team, right? So there's plans there, which means that nobody can win cleanly, and I wouldn't even be surprised if we're getting a rematch of this for a while, right? Like on the main roster, it might be for the titles if that's the way things go, but I don't think this is over, and this is just we can't have anyone lose clean or win clean here, so this is what you get, right? I thought the match was okay, kind of felt like it was just getting started, and then it was kind of over. And just, God forbid, Imperium get a clean win and look strong heading into a title match, right? Like, sure, they get the win, but like you said, it was the classic distraction roll-up. From it. And I think the Creeds, again, I think they have tremendous upside, and they've looked really good so far in the time they've been in the ring. After the match, MSK come down to attack Imperium as Imperium is sort of celebrating the win. We get kicks to Eichner, double stomp to his back, and then the Hot Fire Flame, which is the official name of that moonsault with the shove tandem move they do. Bartel pulls Eichner out to make the save, but Lee doesn't let them escape. He dives over the ropes onto both of them, and I don't know, I just thought that was another standard post-match run in and attack. Again, it keeps MSK from talking, which I think is the right move, right? But I guess builds us to the match they're going to have.
I guess.
Yeah. We then get our Kyle O'Reilly Von Wagner bonding segment. As remember, what's Von Wagner's thing? He's what?
He's pretty
He's
unconventional.
unconventional, and here's the proof. So they're on a hike in the woods. It's the idea is that Wagner is Kyle's tagging along and checking out Wagner's training regimen, I guess. So they grab a tree limb that's lying on the ground as they're out for a hike, and they kind of pass it along and carry it and do various weightlifting maneuvers with it. Then there's later that night, right? They're drinking beer by the fire together. They're sort of talking. They agree to get on the same page and kick some ass. And it's just all round super masculine bonding. How adorable.
Pretty unconventional,
and
too.
This is the evidence that Wagner is indeed unconventional, as we are told, right? Yep. What did you think?
This is lame. It was stupid. And it was boring. Basically, they spent all that time with Balor and Cole, making O'Reilly into a prominent single star, only to undo it after maybe a month tops. This is lame. I must say, though, Wagner is pretty unconventional, and these guys are pretty out there. They did mention that, and I agree. They are pretty out there. And they are super similar. So I think they would make a great tag team because they are identical.
I'm sensing sarcasm over there.
A little.
Possibly. I guess at least I'm trying to be positive, you know? They are trying to show us that he's unconventional rather than just telling us again some more, because this is not the common way to train, right? So I guess that's the idea here. I don't really like these two together at this point. I don't think that they know what to do with Kyle O'Reilly anymore, and it's just, again, you got to partner up with a rookie at this point, right? So this is what you get. At least there was an attempt at some sort of development of the story between these two, I guess. I didn't hate it, and it kept Vaughn speaking to a minimum, which is also a very good decision. And it's this idea, right? Every veteran on the roster either has to work with or compete against a youngster. So this is Kyle, how he gets slotted in. I'm not saying that system doesn't make sense developmentally, right? Because it does. It just doesn't make very interesting TV, right? Like, I get it. You're trying to have the youngsters work with veterans who are good, but doesn't make it fun to watch so far.
No, it's bad.
Yeah. Joe Gacy now, he says that last week was a setback, and maybe NXT 2.0 isn't a safe space after all, but the mission is the same. He says that we don't need violence to settle our issues. He won't be triggered by anyone's microaggression. So again, just firing out all the key buzz terms. He asks us to take his hand, and he reaches out, but it's not us he's talking to, but Harland, who seems to be reaching out for that hand. Gacy says, "Follow me, little snowflake," as Harland reaches his hand out. And that was pretty much it.
So I guess he's affiliated with Harland now, and how the hell is Harland going to come across as intimidating after this?
It felt to me, even though Gacy was saying pretty much the same thing.
I was pretty offended because I thought he was talking to me.
At first, I guess that was the swerve. But now he feels more like a predator preying on like an at-risk person, or like almost a cult leader type of thing, right? Is what it kind of felt like here. He seemed, Gacy I'm talking about, to come across a bit more menacing here. And then I guess there was a slight twist, right, to reveal Harland was the target of the speech and not us.
I don't really love this. I don't know, it feels weird.
I'm more open to this than a lot of things on this show. I'm willing to see where it goes, right?
Yeah, but I don't know. We'll see.
And I feel like Gacy's really committed to it, and it seems like a pretty big departure from other stuff he's done whenever I've seen him on the indies or anywhere else.
Yeah, because I know he was in CZW.
He was just like, I'm the hard-hitting tough guy, like straightforward coming at you. And so I feel like he's trying really hard here, but we'll see where it goes. We then get Legado del Fantasma are in the ring, and Santos Escobar says that may God bless you with luck, and those were the first words he ever heard in the business, and he's always been blessed by it, except for last week. He then calls out Carmelo and says he's a lucky son of a bitch for winning the North American Championship last week. He then laughs it off, says it seems to him like his luck has just vanished. So when he finds his championship, he and Señorita Luck are going to find him. But in the meantime, here's Electra Lopez to set the record straight.
What does that have to do with anything?
I wasn't a fan of this. Like, I don't know what the point of what he was saying was. I lost, ha ha ha, you got lucky, I'm coming to get you, I guess.
But in the meantime, watch my female teammate.
Turning it
what
over.
Does that have to do? What does the Electra Lopez have to do with that?
I don't know. She started to speak, but gets cut off by Cora Jade's music. And again, as I already said, I didn't really love this little promo. I didn't think Escobar said anything of consequence, and then he just passed off the mic, right? So we then get the match, Cora Jade versus Electra Lopez, and it is I don't even know what to say. I can't make anything up. It's just like a 2-minute match. Lopez slams Jade to the mat by the hair, hits 2 straight body slams, Have your drinks, people. Body slam, drinking contest.
Oh, damn it, my drink's gone.
Jade then with strikes and clubbing blows. Lopez with strikes and clubbing blows. And then a clothesline by Lopez. Inside cradle by Cora Jade. She wins in less than 2 minutes. So
that is incredible. Wow.
Yeah. Didn't even get the standard amount of time.
Wow. Losers.
Yeah.
Especially Elektra Lopez. I got him. Another incredibly short match with nothing to know and a crappy finish. Not only did this have a lame sun roll up, but also had the screwy missed kick out, even though Jobber Dolphin Tasma clearly kicked out. Like,
yes, that is true. That may be a story going forward, probably.
Which I think would be dumb, because, I don't know. The ref should have seen it. And if I've said it once, I said it 5,000 times, nobody benefits from this.
Even less here than the standard NXT match. Nothing to say. Nothing happened. They're trying to position Jade as the plucky baby face, right, that sneaks in wins against tougher opponents. And she has a skateboard, so that's cool. She's young, right?
She's Darby Allin.
She's young, and young kids love skateboards.
She is as good, if not better, than Darby Allin.
She reminds me, and this is actually in my notes, of Mark Andrews from like Indie / NXT UK. That's more the skateboarder she is, right?
No, but because they want to compete, so I think they want her to be cool like Darby Allin.
So yeah, this match was a waste of time, and we've probably talked about it longer than it actually took place, and that's probably a sign we should move on to the next thing, yeah?
Probably.
Braun Breaker and Tommaso Ciampa are interviewed backstage. Breaker points out that basically talks about the standard WWE way of booking opponents being tag partners, right? Ahead of their match against each other. Like the idea that there's going to be a miscommunication, one of us is going to hit the other one, etc. So he says that's not happening this time, so Ciampa better watch out. Ciampa then reminds Braun that he said he'd keep Ciampa safe, which, why does the champion who's like this grizzled tough guy needs someone to keep him safe now, Jackson?
Yep.
Right?
And no, he needs Braun Breaker specifically.
He's just following Braun's lead. Thoughts?
What? Who's dumb enough to follow Braun Breaker's lead? Like, I don't know, I thought this was lame, and I hate Braun Breaker.
I thought Braun was fine. It's I don't know if it was funny or what, but he did basically acknowledge WWE's formulaic like booking here, right? About all of the times in this situation, and they did sort of play on it in the actual match, so it kind of worked. But Ciampa suddenly needing someone to keep him safe, and the fact that it has to be Breaker is kind of weird to me. And I think they're already telegraphing like the way this match was going to go. I won't say whether I was right, but even in my notes here, I'm like, you can see where this match is going, right? And Ciampa's really changed, right? I feel like he's like Uncle Tommaso, who's like a bit bitter because he's about to be passed by the nephews, right? That are now in their prime. And it's like when you play wrestle with your kids and your nephews, and then suddenly they're stronger than you, right? So it's, anyways, I'm not loving it.
Me neither.
We then get a recap of the events leading up to tonight's LA Knight versus Grayson Waller match. And basically Waller's in a pool looking some fancy place.
If you don't know, they're fighting over who's going to host Halloween Havoc, which is very prestigious.
Of course. That is the stakes of all stakes.
That's in shot to the stratosphere, to quote commentary.
That's right. So yeah, he's in a pool talking about wanting to be the host. Knight is then he says he's the star and that he needs to host, something like that. I don't know. I wasn't paying attention. They both want to host, so they'll both have a match tonight. Fine. Great. I thought. I don't know. I had nothing more.
Yeah, I don't care.
Yeah. Two grown men fighting over the chance to be the host of a show. Fine. We then get a triple threat match, kind of, for a little bit, right? Io Shirai taking on JC Jane and Persia Parada. Now, you were talking about stakes being big, right?
Oh, that's true.
So these stakes, talk about it.
All right. So basically, they had to choose one half of their tag teams, which that's really hard to choose because you got Indie Hartwell, Persia Parada. Ooh, tough choice.
Mm-hmm.
JC Jane and Gigi Dolan. Ooh, that's a tough choice. An actual tough choice would be Shirai or Stark. They're pretty good. But the stakes. Let me get to the stakes. The winner gets to spin the Halloween Havoc wheel before Halloween Havoc,
which they describe as an advantage. How is it an advantage to participate in the random act? To be the one...
Right.
Right?
Because my thing is...
You spin the random wheel.
Yeah, I think someone said it's like, it's like them picking stipulation. No, it's not, because no one gets to pick the stipulation. Like,
they're just spinning a wheel.
It literally wouldn't make a difference if, like, the host...
A chimpanzee jumped out of the crowd and spun the wheel.
Right, or the host spins the wheel.
Right.
Anyone can spin the wheel, and the same outcome, or, like, the same kind of outcome will come out of it, right? Like, it doesn't make a difference at all. And they're spinning it the week before Halloween. Although, to quote commentary, there is some high stakes here because the winner, this wheel spinner, will get a mental edge and momentum.
Yes,
so
triggering the random act that decides the stipulation is a huge advantage. Mental edge.
And you can see.
And hey, I mean, we're not wrestlers; we can't understand.
And
maybe
you can see it on the face of Hartwell and Parada at the end. So I think that's accurate. Not to spoil who wins, but like, yeah.
So, yep, this match starts. We get a double clothesline by Parada, corner splashes to both of her opponents. A pretty nice high knee by JC Jane early on to Io Shirai. Jane and Io then reluctantly kind of decide they have to work together against Parada because she's just the powerhouse. But Parada ends up overpowering them both.
I don't even think she is. Like, she doesn't look like a powerhouse.
She's a pretty strong woman.
And then, like, I don't know.
For sure. Anyways, Parada ends up suplexing both of them together. Io then low bridges Parada to the floor. And JC Jane almost dies trying to do a suicide dive onto Parada. And so I noticed that Jane got up to be the base for the moonsault. Io hits a moonsault onto both, and I even wrote, so I guess Jane is okay. But I think she just sucked it up to do that because she was gone after that.
It was pretty not good. I mean, I didn't look like she got hit too hard, but I mean,
she landed super awkward on that dive. It looked like that to me. That's like, oh, that's a collarbone or that's a concussion or something, right? But anyways,
right.
I do have an update later on in this. We get a boot by Parada to Io and some corner spears as Jane is nowhere to be found her in my notes, and I thought maybe she's not okay. We get a because it's literally just Parada and Io the rest of the match.
Yep. Which, I mean, I'm not particularly complaining. I mean, I don't think Parada's that good, but I know Jane isn't good.
I don't know. They're okay, I guess. Parada with the suplex, and then she catches an Io Hurricane Rana attempt and hits a power bomb that I thought looked pretty good. Io gets on a run with strikes and a head kick before she hits her 619. And then Io, a surprising botch as she the ropes kind of shake and she kind of slips, I guess, before a missile drop kick that ends up a bit low on Parada. Definitely not what she was going for. Then a crossface by Io, German suplex by Shirai, and the moonsault for the win. And Io gets the advantage of spinning the wheel, setting the random act in motion. Huge psychological advantage.
Mental edge and momentum.
So this was just over 11 minutes. What did you think, as they had to clearly call an audible here?
This is okay, but it had absolutely no stakes, and Jane got taken out halfway, so it wasn't even a triple threat, really, for most of the match. And then, so the stipulation, they spin the wheel, and it's a Stairway to Hell match. What is that?
Right.
A ladder match.
Oh, yeah, I don't even think I included that very important detail.
The stipulation for next week should help hide some of the lack of talent in the match, because this ladder match is probably gonna
They can hit with stuff and climb ladders and whatnot, and maybe not do so many wrestling moves that some of them don't know.
I think there's the chance of a big mental edge. I don't know how.
No, the mental edge is. I mean, you can't even. That's just an intangible thing. We can't quantify that, but I'm sure it's humongous.
I know, and the momentum that they have.
Mental edge and momentum is virtually impossible to overcome.
I think they're untouchable in this match. They're just gonna ascend in a godlike manner to the top of the ladder.
The Vegas odds will be like incredibly on Io and Zoe. But anyways, I thought Parada is kind of believable as a powerhouse. And she seems a little further along in her development than some. I'm thinking specifically like Odyssey Jones, because she can actually hit some moves, right? Like, she's not just... Odyssey Jones' offense is I'm running into you and doing stuff to you, where she actually like has some suplexes and power bombs and whatever. So they clearly called an audible after Jane's really painful looking dive. I don't think the result was great, as they probably made this multi-way to cover up some of these people's inexperience, right?
But then
suddenly it became a singles match. So Io did a lot of selling for Parada, which I don't really love because that's Io Shirai in there, by the way. But I wouldn't be surprised if Jane were supposed to be taking some of that from Parada, right? I think the plan is you make Parada keep looking like a powerhouse, and unfortunately Io's the only one there to take that, so she had to, right? I thought the match was just okay, and in general I think Io deserves better. She's like one of the best, period, I think, anywhere. She should be having main event caliber matches and not like helping rookies get experience. I kind of feel badly. Maybe she doesn't care, but I feel badly for her.
She did get a year run, though.
Yeah, she did. She did.
As top dog. But
now
I
it's
agree.
Like you're basically a trainer. You know?
I agree. I think she deserves a better spot.
And to update everybody, JC Jane had a CT scan. She's not concussed. And she is still advertised for the ladder match. She's been cleared, so she's supposed to be in the ladder match next week. Then Io does spin the wheel, and as you said, it's a Scareway to Hell ladder match.
Which
and
I
Indy
thought
and Persia
Io,
don't look happy.
because
of the mental edge.
It's already
It's gone.
taken effect.
Right. The pendulum has swung.
Right. I thought that this happened last year with LeRae and Shirai, but it was actually really different last year. Last year it was tables, ladders, and scares.
Oh,
so
that's completely different.
This year it's Scareway to Hell. So you can see the difference here, right? Tables, ladders, and
Huge
scares.
Difference.
Scare
2.0.
Right. Right, exactly. They're improving on last year, which, I mean, last one is technically a TLC, which is more than just ladders, but sure, we'll say they're improving on it.
In the locker room moments ago, Legado del Fantasma beat up Cora Jade's boyfriend, Trey Baxter.
Which I thought it was, I can't remember who I thought it was, but I did not think it was Trey Baxter.
So I was like, was that Trey Baxter? And you weren't sure.
I can't remember, but they didn't do a great job of communicating, though, who this was.
But the tough guys who are always up for a fight, Briggs and Jensen, they run in for the save and start brawling with Legado. And so you've got these guys from, Legado from feuding with Hit Row to now this is the rookies they've been paired up with, right? So
yep.
Here you veterans, here you go.
I mean, Baxter's probably good, but like...
Yeah. Well, I'm even thinking more of like against Legado and Jensen and Briggs. That's who they're sort of partnered up with here, right? For today?
Gross.
Right. Why not is my thought.
Sure.
We then get everybody's favorite wrestler, Tony D'Angelo. He talks about taking two things seriously, his business and wrestling. And people have been talking about him since his win. Really? I hadn't heard, but okay. He walks away, and because he cut this promo standing in front of the trunk of his car again, and we hear sounds from the trunk of the car, and he's up next.
Yay!
And so let me ask you: Are we to believe that the producer has been in the trunk of a car for a week now?
I guess, or like,
right?
I guess so.
I
assume he's been fed properly, though. How long can you go without food?
You get a longer time than water. Food, you can go like 3 weeks. Water, like days. So it must be watering him.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if days is right, but it's a lot less for
like
water.
a plant. He's just watering him.
Just throw a water bottle in there and close it. Or maybe he's adapted to it and he likes it in there. Maybe it's now he's in there.
It's consensual.
Right. Okay. So I don't know. But anyways, that was what I thought. So he's been in there for a whole week. And I don't like anything about this guy or anything he does, speaking of Tony D'Angelo, so I'm ready to move on.
Yes.
And this is where my note, the first hour of this show felt caps lock, very long to me. Correct?
Yeah.
Don't disagree.
We watched this over the course of 3 days, I think, and it
we did break it into chunks, and it was still painful.
Yes, you can't take away the pain.
The Street Fighter Tribal Tattoo guy is back with another vignette. And we get
Solo Sikoa.
We get his name, Solo Sikoa, the street champion of the island.
That's not even how you say it. I don't even remember. It's Solo Sikoa, Solo Sakai.
We'll find out.
I don't know. I'll figure it out once he actually does stuff, but I don't really care.
So basically, it was almost the same as last week. We just got his name, right? So I don't have much to say about this either. Yeah. Fine. Backstage, Jiro sneaks up on Kushida in the washroom.
Sunny Siaki. Yeah, that was kind of...
Talks about how excited he... At least, hey, this is what we're learning. Parking lot, not safe. Washroom, safe.
That's true.
We gotta find safe spaces in here for Joe Gacy.
We do.
And his people.
Why doesn't he just do talk
Next week, his office will be in the bathroom. He'll be like in a stall.
No, he should start a petition to make the parking lot a safe place.
He should. So anyways, they talk about how excited he is to team with Kushida. Kushida said he needs to be style strong like Jiro, but Jiro empties out Kushida's backpack. No. And you called it. He puts Kushida's old Back to the Future gear on Kushida.
They're going to unserious Kushida. Remember they did all that work and making him serious even though he wasn't, and now they're going to unserious him.
And they high five, and I think the lighting changed or something.
Yeah, to like the blue.
Right, to his signature blue color. Thoughts?
Let's go Back to the Future.
Yeah. We were happy when he got rid of this gimmick.
Yeah, I thought it was fine. I think Jiro's
fun, man, no doubt.
But I don't know. I don't love the reintroduction of this, but I mean, I guess it works to fit more of Jiro.
Yes.
And also, I don't care.
It's almost like they're giving up on trying to have Kushida develop or reveal personality on his own, and they're like, Jiro's got so much, and he's from the same country because that's Vince's thing, right? So
right,
we'll put you together.
They're Japanese, so they gotta
be
together. Stick with your countrymen, am I right?
And so the crowd really loves Jiro, and he's got lots of personality. Kushida seems to lack that a little bit.
I mean,
so
they do like
which
Kushida,
makes sense, I guess. I don't know. I'm not happy with the Back to the Future gimmick being back, but he is teaming with the resident comedy act in NXT, so he had to. It's right because it was all about. Oh, it's this new serious Kushida. Remember, we joked about it for weeks and weeks, and now it's like they're just flipping right back to what it was before. But anyways, we'll see. I really like Jiro. He's one of the more fun things on this show, right? And the crowd seems to feel the same way we do generally, so I guess we'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
Tony D'Angelo, yay match.
Oh, yes.
Versus Ru Feng.
Oh, I thought it was Ru Wang.
Feng, I believe.
Either way, that is a terrible name.
It might be his real name. I don't know. That's fine.
No, but I don't know. Just for a presentation name.
Yeah. Shoulder tackle by D'Angelo. Takedown mat work. A noogie. Always appreciated. Tennille Dashwood shout out.
Dash woogie.
Two forearms.
That's my favorite move. Don't diss it, okay?
2 forearms and a really weak-looking back kick, was it, by Feng? Remember, we're like,
oh, yeah.
That barely made... I think we rewound it to see it barely make contact. It was nice. Northern Lights into the swinging neck breaker. I think that's the same combination as last time. D'Angelo wins in less than... Not
3
right.
minutes.
Nope, 2 minutes on this one as well. Thoughts on this match? Can't talk about it for longer than it took, so be quick.
Squash where he hardly showcases anything. Okay, nice.
Yep. Another squash, basic stuff for the match, and then I think it's a pretty cool combination. I don't know if it's a finishing combo to me, but he probably doesn't know how to do much else in professional wrestling. Apparently he has an amateur background, but I don't feel like I see that the way I do out of the Creed brothers, right? Like that, or even Braun Breaker clearly looks like he's got some amateur experience, whereas I don't see anything out of D'Angelo until his finishing sequence, and then I'm like, okay, that was all right. But anyways, he's gross, no good. After the match, Alicia says that Mark, the producer of Lashing Out, went missing, and does Tony know anything about it?
I don't know.
He says Alicia is being nosy, and he doesn't know nothing about anything. He tells her to get herself something nice. Did he give her money or something? I can't remember. Forget about it. Go ahead.
Forget about it.
Your thoughts?
Stereotypical catchphrase.
Couldn't be more.
Forget about it. And also stereotypical paying him off. Yes, because
of course.
Mob or Mafia or whatever.
He's like a cartoon character.
Yeah.
I think is the point.
Dumb.
Yep.
No thanks.
If like it, and I don't say this much, it's stupid. And if it's supposed to be serious, it's bad. If it's supposed to be funny, it's still bad. Yeah. There's nothing appealing or entertaining about this. A complete waste of time.
Yeah.
But at least very little time here this week. It's time for Duke's Poker Room. Oh my goodness. So a little backstory. I'm a pretty avid poker player, would you say?
Yeah. You even watch poker, which I don't understand.
I watch poker. I play live. I play online. I like poker a lot.
I thought this was really funny that we were getting this because you just got out of Swingers Palace.
And now that's it.
So I thought that was really funny.
And your instinct to my suffering is to laugh. Yeah, that's awesome. So, as I told you, when I go to poker, I actually do have a tradition where my parents, mostly my mom, love them both, but they go to Florida, right? Basically what we call in Canada snowbirds, where they escape winter down, not this year, the last couple of years they haven't gone, obviously, but, and my mom always brings me back a t-shirt.
I thought they went last year.
No? A t-shirt that is not of the most... Like, I wouldn't make that choice to buy that t-shirt, but so I save those.
But it's not, like, bad?
I save those. They're pretty bad. Some of them. I'm trying to be nice. So I wear those bad shirts to poker. So I intentionally dress badly, like the wolf t-shirt. The t-shirt that's one size too small and has a giant wolf face on the front. That's my favorite poker shirt. But anyways, I have never worn just a gold vest with no shirt underneath, which is Duke Hudson. He's actually playing poker against other people wearing a shiny gold vest with no shirt, which I think is great. But anyways, he makes on the first hand, he makes a good read. He makes a good call, wins chips. He does it again when his opponent shoves all in and Hudson calls knowing exactly where he's at, right? Like he even says like, I win it all or whatever before he even shows his cards because he's a genius. He then looks into the camera, says his poker room is always open and we might as well call him the house because the house always wins.
AEW reference.
Your thoughts on this amazing gimmick? right up my alley. They're appealing to me.
Because it was kind of confusing, and then it was just like, I don't know, it wasn't even like Swingers Palace, so it wasn't even bad enjoyable, because it was just like, he wasn't even like, there was no interactions with anyone, he wasn't really even playing that much poker, and it was kind of stupid, and
he was also playing, not to be too nerdy,
lame.
but with the standard, like, super cheap poker chips that everybody has. It would, like, I don't know, anyways. It's really bad.
I definitely picked up on that.
It's really bad. I don't think this guy deserves this, because he seems like he can deliver a promo half decent. He's a big guy, like you'd think. And, like,
Is this like some Australian thing, I guess?
We've used this before. This is one of those things where I go, somebody had to come up with this idea, right? And then a bunch of other people had to be like, yes.
And then other people had to write it.
And somebody was like, this is what's going to get this guy over. And it isn't. It's really bad. So I don't know. Between this and Tony D'Angelo and Lash LaRue, or whatever she is, Lash.
Lash LaRue.
The Cajun, what was he? That's old WCW reference, folks. Sorry. He was the Cajun something. And he had, his sideburns were L's for Lash LaRue.
It is lashing out with Lash Legend, okay? So, and we're going to get one next week.
Those three characters are not great, to say the least.
Yeah,
but anyways.
I think we're getting one next week. I think it's every other week now, so... sorry, what were you saying is bad? It's D'Angelo...
The poker dude and Lash LaRue.
Yeah, I think, what else? I think Briggs and Jensen's pretty bad. Like, it's not as, like... bad as the other ones, but I don't think it's great either.
No, but we're about to talk about it, so I'll save my thoughts.
I think the top offenders, though, are those three, yeah.
Because we do get Briggs and Jensen taking on Legado del Fantasma in a tag team match, and again, we cut to backstage where...
Rookie team versus old team part 2.
There you go. Where Legado have taken out Jensen. Commentary heading into the break are even wondering if the match can happen, as Legado sort of heading to the ring. We come back from the commercial, and the match has already started, and we're shown that... Briggs and Jensen just sort of, I guess security wanted to stop them to make sure that Jensen was okay, and they're like kicking security out of the way down the ramp to get to the match because they like to fight, buddy. I don't know if you know that.
They do.
But anyways, it's a time-tested gimmick, right? They just love to fight. It's like they're the APA or whatever, that kind of mold, I guess. So Wild's in control of Jensen early, but the baby faces take control with double team power moves for a bit. Escobar gets involved outside the ring, then that allows Legado to take over with Mendoza kicking and stomping Briggs. Legado then isolate Briggs, make repeated tags and corner clotheslines, which we were like, you said out loud, I wish they'd do something other than clothesline. It's like a tag version of Ciampa's thing.
It is, and it's like, because like, they do go in with pretty good force, but they're also like...
the most basic thing ever.
And not to be that person, but they're like smaller guys, so I feel like, I don't know, I feel like they could change it. There's probably some cool things.
And they're both awesome high flyers. They could definitely do cool stuff. Or some cool double team stuff. Like, I don't maybe it's because they're heels and that's too babyface. I don't know. But we get a double back suplex by Legado for a 2 count. Mendoza hits a top rope splash to Briggs' back that you liked specifically, right?
I thought
it looked good.
It was good because he got some decent distance on it and height, and then I thought he landed pretty well.
The impact was good for sure.
I thought it looked nice. It was just a splash, but...
No, he looked good. Jensen finally tags in. Obviously, he cleans house for a little bit there. We get corner chops. He's like chopping and then using that same arm to come back with a clothesline in the corner. Hits a power slam. Take a drink. And then
was it a body slam or a power slam?
It was a power slam, so half a drink. I don't know. What do you think? A sip.
I'll cut him some slack. Well, yeah, I'll take a sip, but I don't have a drink. Water bottle.
Jensen takes out Escobar, but allows Legado to take control again. Mendoza drop kicks Briggs off the apron. LDF hit their their kick Russian leg sweep finisher to Jensen for the win in just over 5 minutes.
That's what you could call it, the Russian kick.
The Russian kick. Just over 5 minutes on this one.
Wow,
what'd you think?
That's pretty impressive.
Right? It's almost double the normal length of a match.
That is insane.
Borderline Iron Man.
Another short and mediocre match. Yeah, that is borderline Iron Man. That is true.
NXT Iron Man.
At least I can be happy that there wasn't really a screwy finish, but even then there was the pre-match shenanigans, so... Yeah. I don't know. Nothing super offensive, but still not good. I
kind of like this one. It might be my favorite match on the show. It was only 5 minutes. I thought it was pretty good. Jensen and Briggs, I kind of like that. The character aside, because they're really ramming it down our throats, right? But I like their hard-hitting style in the ring, like kind of straightforward, hard-hitting, high-impact stuff. The beer-drinking brawler stuff that they're kind of overdoing is a bit hokey, but in the ring, I think their style will work well, because if you think about it, right, it works well against Legato and MSK, who are like the quick high flyers, and then you've got like amateur style people like the Creeds in there, and then if Diamond Mine ever makes some sort of tag team, right? So I think they contrast or nicely with several other styles in the company. So I thought this was a solid TV match for NXT, right? Comparing them to themselves only at this point. I thought it was solid. We then get a little hype video for the Mandy Rose Raquel Gonzalez match. And here's my summary of the first part. Gonzalez is big and tough, and Rose is beautiful and mean. Mandy drives around in a convertible, and Gonzalez hits the gym. Mandy says she's been called many things, but she's never been called champion.
She said hot, sexy,
yes.
Something else, and I'm like, those
but
are
never
all
champion.
No, and then I was like, all three of the things
right.
she said. It was like, I remember like the line of Murray and the Goldbergs where Murray's like, it's more affordable, it's less expensive, it's cheaper, and it costs less, and it's just like, it's all the same.
Yes, but she's never been called champion. True.
Which, I mean, I was like, there's a good reason for that.
I felt like, did you take Raquel's line? Because shouldn't she say that about you, right? Like, you've never, but no, Mandy. Anyways, what'd you think?
So this is okay, but not great. Doesn't really feel like a big time match for me because I don't buy, Rose as a champ for a second because she's just garbage. And she's definitely not championship material. Raquel said it best.
I thought, like, the presentation of the package and like the production value was pretty good actually, and it does focus on the contrast between the two of them, I guess. But I don't think that Toxic Attraction are much so far, but clearly people that matter and make decisions see big things in these three because they're on TV multiple times. It feels like every week, at least once for a lengthy something. Unfortunately, I can see Mandy winning this title as Gonzalez. Don't you feel like she's the back burner in this feud? Like, doesn't it really feel like they're featuring Mandy Rose a lot more than Raquel Gonzalez?
I guess so.
In recent weeks, right?
Maybe Toxic Attraction, be like, boom, she wins.
Toxic Attraction come out and cut a live promo every week, and then
bore me to death.
And or have a match every week, and Gonzalez is just kind of a quick little. So I don't know. I feel like Mandy Rose is getting this title, which is interesting. But
That's
anyways,
so sad.
LA Knight makes his entrance, heading into a commercial break. We come back from the break, and somebody's digging a grave and throwing things into it. We even watched it again. It was a TV, a crutch, a deck of cards, some other stuff. I don't remember.
Was it a deck of cards?
Yeah, there's cards thrown. Remember, that's why I said Shayna Baszler.
Yes, Shayna Baszler.
Whoever it is coming to Halloween Havoc. And I think the way, something about it, they either implied or said it was like a return. So I don't think it's a new person. It was someone coming for vengeance or revenge or something, which is not a new person, I don't think.
Shayna Baszler.
It definitely appeared to be a woman. I'm still guessing it's a repackaged Ember Moon.
Shayna Baszler.
I think I'm going to look smart here. I thought the vignette itself was kind of cool.
No, I've seen other people saying it's Ember Moon.
We watched it twice. I thought it was kind of cool. I like the dark, mysterious, whatever. I was fine with it.
I would love for it to be Shayna Baszler because it makes sense. That's why she didn't win the tournament.
Because I swear Ember Moon was on. She was on crutches when she had been on whatever main roster and injured and never ever wrestled and came back to NXT. She was on a crutch still. I'm almost positive.
She came in like with a motorcycle helmet or something.
I'm almost positive I've seen her with a crutch.
She came in
we'll see.
with like a motorcycle helmet or something. I remember, and then but. It could be Baszler. I think it should be Baszler.
But the crutch doesn't fit, does it? I don't know.
I don't know. She could have beaten someone up with crutches.
I guess. Anyways, we'll see. Of all the things on this show, I didn't mind it. Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes are then looking for the championship title. Apparently, it has been stolen.
Yeah, I don't see anything.
And they're looking in the locker room or whatever. They find a drawing from Dexter Lumis inviting them to a haunted house next week to get the title back.
You know what's funny is when I search Ember Moon crutch, a couple things that come up is two photos from Ember Moon deaf Shayna Baszler. So like Shayna Baszler somehow.
Could be.
But yes.
So what did you think?
I don't know. It was fine.
Yeah, I don't know. The Trick came across a little bit goofy here, right? Because he was kind of like, anyways. Because
I didn't love it.
Because what did he said something silly about the drawing? It's some sort of like code or
Da Vinci code or
something like that. Anyways, and how do you feel about going back to the haunted house? I assume it's a tag team match in the haunted house.
Worse. I hated that last year. There were stupid
parts of it were kind of. I think I was kind of like down the middle with it. Some things made me laugh or entertain me, and others not so much.
It was dumb. And I don't think they need the Cine matches anymore. I think now with people
that's
back,
true. I hadn't thought of that.
We don't need them anymore. They were kind of a situational
They were
thing.
very much a thing for a while.
Yeah.
You're right.
And they served their purpose.
We then get La Knight versus Grayson Waller for the greatest stakes of all. Who's going to be host for Halloween Havoc? So this we get a couple near falls right away for Waller as he's kind of one step ahead of Knight.
And if they spin the wheel for the matches, they will have a mental edge on the people in the match.
And momentum.
Even though they're not in the match.
So yeah, Waller's got some like roll-ups and pinfall things where he's one step ahead of Knight. And then Knight turns the tide with some stomps in the corner and some clubbing blows to a seated Waller. And then Knight sort of snaps Waller across the top rope, hits his slingshot shoulder tackle, strikes in a discus elbow by Waller, kicks in an STO by Waller, pump kick by LA Knight, and he hits his BFT for the win in under
3 minutes.
Correct. Knight celebrates beside the wheel and is very excited to be the host. Thoughts on this?
Another short and inconsequential match. Nothing good, nothing bad. It was too short to actually say anything about it. The stakes didn't matter either, which does not help.
How dare you? How dare you? Waller, I thought, dominated most of this, right? I almost feel like they were trying to get to the BFT as like an out of nowhere thing, like the stunner, because it's like the boot to the stomach and then boom.
Right. It doesn't even look that good, and I don't love it that much.
Waller showcased some decent offense. Knight hit a few moves in his finisher. It was a 3-minute match like the rest, but at least, like I said, both of the guys have experience, right? It wasn't somebody who's not a wrestler against a wrestler. I looked it up, and Waller's been wrestling for 4 years, right, in Australia and other places, so at least both of them kind of have some experience. So then they run down next week's show before, which is Halloween Havoc, obviously, before the main event.
Perhaps our last one.
You never know. You're going to get Scareway to Hell match, Tag Team Championship ladder match with Io and Zoe taking on Toxic Attraction.
We got to call everything 2.0, right? So it's Taylor Ladders and Scares 2.0.
Correct. Okay. And Indy and Persia Parada. Then we have Spin the Wheel, Make the Deal, NXT Women's Championship match, Raquel Gonzalez versus Mandy Rose. A Spin the Wheel, Make the Deal Tag Team Championship match with MSK and Imperium. We're going to see the debut of Solo Sikoa, or however you say it. We'll learn. An NXT Championship match of Tommaso Ciampa and Braun Breaker. Apparently special guest of Chucky from Child's Play. And don't forget, the host is LA Knight. I don't know. The card looks whatever. We'll see. It's
fine. I'm surprised how they're going to fit this many big matches.
If this is supposed to feel almost like a pay-per-view or a special episode, hopefully we enjoy it because it's the best chance they got, I think, at this point. Main event time, Tommaso Ciampa and Braun Breaker taking on the Grizzled Young Veterans. Gee, I wonder how this will end. I called it perfectly, right, as it started? And you were hoping the other one took the pin, but I knew.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, we said Braun Breaker's pinning. I said Drake. You said other. But anyways.
Well, I said it could be Gibson because why should it be Drake? Why does it have to be Drake?
Breaker.
He's a superior grizzled young veteran.
Breaker. I don't think they think so. Breaker and Drake start out. Breaker
they're also the same people like Braun Breaker.
Hits a shoulder tackle before manhandling Drake and repeatedly sort of slamming him down amateur wrestling style. Breaker and Drake run the ropes. Breaker catches a leaping Drake and slams him again. Ciampa kind of blind tags, hits his whole bunch of clotheslines to both of his opponents. We get a running knee to Gibson as Ciampa and Breaker stare at each other here. There's clearly tension between these teammates. We come back from a commercial. Drake has Ciampa in a headlock. They show us later, like Drake hit a nice suicide dive out to the announce table because we just came back from the break and suddenly the Grizzled Young Veterans were in control and we missed something. Ciampa eventually fights out of it, hits a belly to back, but can't tag out as Gibson ran around the ring, pulled Breaker down off the apron, and Breaker started to chase him around the ring. So this is further tension. Ciampa's trying to make a tag, and Breaker's nowhere to be found. The Grizzled Young Veterans continue to wear down Ciampa with frequent tags, double team moves, including a missile drop kick into a flatliner that I thought looked pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that's one of their regular tag team.
It looks good. Ciampa finally hits a DDT to Drake. Gibson heads over to pull Breaker off the apron again, but Breaker, in anticipation, starts running and runs him over with the clothesline instead. Braun gets back on the apron, and Ciampa slaps him hard across the chest for not being there in the corner when he needed him. But of course, that also constitutes a tag, and Braun Breaker is now the legal man. So he comes into the ring, and it looks like he's trying to clothesline Ciampa, right? Sort of the standard miscommunication. One attacks the other like he talked about. But Ciampa ducks the clothesline, and Drake ends up taking the clothesline instead. We get another big clothesline, shoulder tackle, belly to belly, Steiner recliner. Somewhere along the line, Gibson gets taken out by Ciampa, I think, and we get a gorilla press into a power slam, and Braun Breaker pins Drake in almost 11 minutes. Thoughts on the main event?
Match was fine, I guess. It was mostly just Grizzly Young Veterans beating on Ciampa until Breaker tagged in and did his mediocre crap and pinned James Drake for some reason. Breaker has no real character. His in-ring offense is meh at best. I don't like him. It sucks this is who they are going with as one of their main guys on NXT. At least there was no shenanigans, but this was still just okay. And I don't know, the longest match was like, what, 10 minutes?
Yep, 11 minutes this one.
Yeah.
So I figured this would be the storyline. It still kind of annoyed me, this idea that Ciampa needs the help of Braun Breaker.
And I'm really sad that it ended like that, like where Ciampa slapped him, because Ciampa and Breaker have been such a great and tenured team here in NXT. They've built the foundation here, okay? So I'm really sad to see one of the great tag teams of NXT go out
end of an era.
Yes.
So Breaker got to be the hero, of course. The slap tag and the missed clothesline I thought that was kind of a nice touch because they did talk about that situation early. I thought Breaker looked good, man. He is really quick and fluid in his movements for a man his size. I can see I know you don't like him. I think he is pretty good already and has a super high ceiling.
No.
I thought this was a decent match, but it was a lot.
High ceiling where you don't have to wrestle.
There was a lot of grizzled young veterans just beating on Ciampa. It really only threw in a few cool moves along the way. A lot of it was pretty standard stuff, and it really telegraphed the match even further, right? Like, Ciampa's the face in peril, hot tag, young guy saves him. So I don't think it was bad.
I think it is easier to look fast in a hot tag, 'cause, like, you just have to, like...
No, the way he moves is impressive, I'm telling you. Anyways.
It's fine. I wouldn't call it impressive.
It's impressive.
Nah.
Not a bad main event, but still a far cry from some of the main events we used to get, where it was like, this is like pay-per-view quality, right? That I don't think we'll be saying that anytime soon. I still remember
from this year, Dunn and Lorcan versus Theory and Gargano. That is probably one of my favorite NXT TV matches now.
Yep, and that was awesome. We're not getting stuff like that.
That was only
anymore.
like a few months back. I don't even think it was that long ago. I want to say at least it was June.
Yeah, feels like it.
I think it was pre-Great American Bash. So.
Long enough away. We need some more of those type of matches. But anyways,
I think that is behind us.
I do too. Overall thoughts and agreed for this?
Overall, another mediocre show. I don't care enough to go in depth, and this isn't worth an in-depth recap. If you hate yourself or love the main roster, watch NXT. If you like actual good pro wrestling, don't. I'll be nice and I'll give this a D, but I really don't have the interest or patience for this anymore. They kind of have me by a thread at this point because I'm almost done. They're after going to pull something great far out of their ass next week to keep me around.
We'll see.
Like Shayna Baszler. If Shayna Baszler appears, mark my words, I will continue. Okay? That's what will keep me here.
It's Ember Moon, dude.
Well, then I quit.
I think this is just another sadly standard episode of NXT.
It's just so mind-numbing.
What I'm starting to call training matches, right? Veterans carrying...
That's pretty... But, sorry, like, what even is the training here? Like, what, 3 minutes? Like,
yeah, basically.
I guess that's what you can call it, but can you even call that training? Like, what are you training them for?
You're not a wrestler. We've memorized this 3 minutes of action. Go do it in front of cameras.
I guess, because they probably can't memorize more than, like, 3 minutes. But
they don't. Yeah, at this point.
Like, what's that training them for?
So,
a sprint?
Training matches, veterans carrying and putting over rookies, juvenile segments and characters. It's just not fun anymore to watch.
There was also an unconventional segment.
The 3-minute matches were pretty much the same as always, with I thought Waller and Knight being a little bit better than the average.
And for me, too many crappy finishes. Like,
the matches that got any time, the Creeds versus Imperium, the main event, and Legado versus Briggs and Jensen, I thought they were all fine matches. Nothing great, and the women's triple threat had some issues, obviously kind of beyond their control, but I didn't think it was great. Then we get an awful Duke Hudson segment, another one from Tony D'Angelo.
Awful? I thought you're a poker fan. Wow.
Kyle and Wagner in the woods, more Joe Gacy. So the card definitely kind of fell into place for next week at Halloween Havoc. I thought the second half of this show was significantly better than the first. The first one was really tough for me. Still a pretty bad show. Not as bad as it has been. I'm going D+ this week. I know I've had one, I think C-, so this is about as good as it's been for NXT for me. I really hope somehow they pull off an entertaining show next week because I want to like wrestling. I don't want to not like the shows I watch, right? But It's really hard to like this program.
I almost want to dislike this because they deserve it.
It's really not an entertaining show. And I get WWE probably doesn't care. It's serving their purpose and hopefully developing.
No, they're still going to get the viewers.
But
so.
I don't know if the networks that are paying for this are going to be happy, right?
No, yeah.
The ratings are down again. So anyways.
I hope the networks are really mad and they're forced to go back to what NXT was good at.
That would be great. Super indie, as you call it. I don't care. Call it that. That was amazing time. But anyways.
Yes, that was happy times.
So let's leave NXT and move into some trivia in this week's Off the Top of His Head. All right, so we're going to talk about we actually have one prepared now, so it is talking about Kenny Omega trivia this week.
Whoa,
you ready?
You're going behind the curtain. Are you implying that you're not always prepared?
Sometimes it's a busy week and we get that trivia deck out, but this week we're not using the trivia deck.
You're admitting this.
You ready?
Wow. Yeah.
There's 20-ish questions, I think. What is Kenny Omega's real name? I didn't know this one. Do you know it? You're like, I've heard it, but I can't remember it.
Kenny something?
Nope. Tyson Smith.
That's so just...
Do you know what year
boring.
What year he was born?
1987.
Ooh, 1983. I thought you were going to say
Damn.
it. Where was he born?
Winnipeg.
Correct. Winnipeg, what province? What country?
Manitoba.
Correct. Canada. Yes, he's one of us.
Canada.
On October 3rd, 2014, New Japan Pro Wrestling held a press conference to announce that Omega was set to sign with the promotion once his contract with which company expired. So basically, long way of saying, where was he before New Japan? I don't think you'll get this. I'm starting out hard.
Deep South?
No, DDT. I think it was already in Japan, maybe. How many times has
I know he was in Japan before, though, in the Golden Lovers run.
How many times has Kenny Omega been at the top of the PWI rankings, and what were the years?
2 times.
Correct.
So this year?
Yes.
And 2018, I want to say. Or was it 2019?
2017.
2017,
yes.
Damn it.
But 2 is correct. What year was he inducted into the Wrestling Observer Newsletter Hall of Fame?
2019.
2020. This one I didn't know. Who did Omega face during his brief time in WWE Developmental?
I think that time.
Yeah. I would never get this.
Daniel Bryan?
Nope. The Miz. Interesting. Who inspired Kenny Omega to continue wrestling when he was on the verge of retiring?
Daniel Bryan.
AJ Styles. Omega wrestled his first match as a member of the Bullet Club at which pay-per-view? I feel like this might be getting into
New Year's Dash?
Nope. Wrestle Kingdom 9. Who did Kenny Omega lose to at the first pay-per-view Double or Nothing?
Jericho.
Correct. When Jon Moxley canceled the match he and Kenny Omega were supposed to have at All Out, who did Omega face instead?
Pac.
Correct. At Winter is Coming on December 2nd, who helped Kenny Omega win the AEW Championship against Jon Moxley?
Jonathan Callis.
Correct. At the pay-per-view Hard to Kill, Omega teamed with Carl Anderson and Doc Gallows to defeat who?
That was Swan, Sabin, and Moose, yeah?
Correct. Good. I couldn't remember. I honestly already couldn't.
You didn't remember? Wow.
I know, and that was recent,
I
and I watched
Swan
Impact.
the Machine Guns, but then I remember Shelley was out. I think he's in MLW now. I think he's in a ladder match for the vacant openweight title.
Nice. At Revolution in March, Omega retained the title over Moxley. What stipulation was that match?
Oh, yes, an exploding barbed wire death match.
Right? Awful ending, but great match.
I thought it was pretty good, yeah.
Excellent match, I thought. The end was obviously anticlimactic, but a really good match.
I mean, it's kind of hard to really actually do that, I guess.
Right, but it was
other than if you're in Japan, where they just do that whenever they feel like it.
At Rebellion, who did Omega beat, and what title did he win and retain?
So he beat Swan, retained the AEW title, and won the Impact World Unified title thing?
Good. That's correct. At Impact Wrestling Slammiversary, who did Omega beat to retain the Impact World Championship in a no DQ match?
That was Callahan.
That was Samuel Callahan.
And I was going to say, Moose was against all odds, I think it was.
I think you're right. How many times has Omega been the IWGP Heavyweight Champion?
Once.
Correct. I think most people assume more than that, right?
Yeah, but it took him a while, and then he beat Okada.
Right. Who did Omega defeat in the finals of the 2016 G1?
I was just watching the recount thing. Crap. Was it Naito?
Nope. I'll give you another chance. You seem like you might have
Tanahashi? No, wait, Ibushi?
Goto.
Ah. Like Hiroki Goto?
Yep. True or false? Omega became the first non-Japanese person ever to win G1.
True.
That is true.
And then there were only 2 non-Japanese in the finals, which is Carl Anderson and Rick Rude.
Oh yeah, Anderson had that run. Omega won ROH's Feud of the Year in 2018 after his feud with which wrestler?
Cody?
Yes, very good. I don't know if I don't.
I know they had like a Bullet Club.
Because I wasn't watching ROH then, I don't think, right?
I think that was one of those things, because I know they were also kind of, because Cody was trying to usurp him as Bullet Club leader.
Power has been usurped.
And that kind of, like, because that was like, I think the main era of, like, the New Japan Ring of Honor partnership.
Yes, it was, for sure. How many times has PWI awarded Omega with the match of the year?
5.
No.
6.
Go the other direction.
3.
Correct. Do you know what years?
2020.
Yes.
Because that match was good.
Yes.
2018.
Yes.
2017.
Yes, very good. 17, 18, 20.
Because I think 17, 18
were hold Okada. On. Can you name the opponents?
Were 17, 18 Okada.
Correct. And 20 was?
The Bucks.
Good. So yes, Okada, Young Bucks.
Okada.
What sport did Kenny Omega play as a kid?
Soccer.
Oh, he's Canadian. Come on, man.
Hockey.
Correct.
Stereotype.
Last question. And you know what that means.
That's not fair.
In case you're a new listener, I try and pick an obscure one and stump him. I've asked a more obscure one than this. What was it? Adam Cole's pet's name or something? The one. So when Kenny Omega... Sorry, what was Kenny Omega's, maybe it still exists, might be I don't know, his YouTube series called, in which he played some of his favorite video games? His YouTube series, come on.
Omega Gaming?
No, Cleaner's Corner. You don't know anything about Kenny Omega, how dare you? Or wrestling in general. It's embarrassing. But anyways, good job. Hard ones at the beginning, then you crushed through the middle, and then you didn't know the last couple, which is, devastating, but what are you going to do? Anyways, that ends trivia. Will take us back to talking. Oh no, we're not going into Dynamite because it's not happening until tonight. So that's going to take us right into any other wrestling business. So I guess we'll start out talking about Impact Wrestling from 2 days ago on Thursday. And the episode starts, like it always does, with a recap. And this is of the past few weeks of Impact as we're sort of getting that final push heading into Bound for Glory tonight.
This is the go home.
So they highlight the X Division three-way match winners heading into the championship match at Bound for Glory. They also sort of show us W. Morrissey winning the Battle Royal last week to earn the last entry spot for the next Battle Royal. Right. Battle Royal for the Battle Royal. And they also end the recap sort of highlighting the
Battle Royal to help you do good in the better Battle Royal.
That's right. Highlighting the tense moments between Christian and Josh Alexander in the sort of really strong build, I think, for that main event championship match. And then as the show starts proper, I guess, we get the Bullet Club, which is Hikuleo and Chris Bay in this case, taking on Finjuice. So this match saw the referee get knocked out somewhere near the end, I guess more like the middle. And then obviously there's a cover by Finlay, but no referee to call it. So a second ref comes down, and we end up, just to get to the end of this, with a double pinfall as we get one man from each team pinning a man from the other team. And there's two referees now. So
is it a tornado tag?
No. So each referee counts a different pinfall, right? So you're already seeing a problem with this. So nobody really knows who won the match after about 9.5 minutes. So basically all four men are involved. The original ref is now conscious, but one member of each. So Bay is pinning one of the members of Finjuice. I forget which one. And then the other is the Finjuice pinning the Bullet Club person. So both referees count, right? So
but they don't know who's actually legal?
It's funny you say that, okay? Because that's the exact point, right? This is not a hard thing to figure out because there are only two legal men, right? And Chris Bay is not one of them. But anyways, the match was really long by Impact standards, right? Almost getting 10 minutes. parts of it were pretty good. I thought it started out really strong.
When you say long by Impact standards, that sounds like long by
NXT standards.
NXT
close.
standards,
It's close. Impact, I feel like, honestly, Impact is the king of the 4-minute matches, and NXT, it's the 3-minute matches. So it's very similar. So it started out looking good. Bay is good in any combination with Finjuice. Hikuleo was fine too, but he's definitely
Hikuleo's the star of the show. Okay,
he's the least accomplished of these 4. Then there was kind of a lull in the middle. There was a lengthy chin lock. I think it was Finley that had it applied. Then things picked back up, and then the really weak finish is what I thought. As you're saying, and you didn't even watch it, Bay is not the legal man, because you're like, don't they know who the legal man is? Because that's how you would solve this problem, right?
Or like, I could see the first ref at least getting confused because like he was out, but then like, or I don't know, just why don't they look back at the tapes? Don't they like if this is supposed to be pretend real?
Bay was not the legal man, and they even talk about it later. So he's not eligible to pin anyone. So for me, this is a pretty cut and dried issue, right? But you would think.
You would assume so, yeah.
And for me, if you wanted to do a non-finish, that's fine, but why not a double count-out or a time limit draw that you never do or something?
Brothers interference because they're heels.
Right.
I mean, I don't know if they're able to be here, but...
All of the confusion at the end seems pretty easy to resolve to me, but apparently it's not for Impact officials because we're going to come back to it right after this. Overall, I think it was a pretty good opening match. Nothing amazing. The finish hurt it for me because it just doesn't really make sense. It's like... You could have found a better way to accomplish the same thing, I think. Yeah. So then we come back. Both teams and refs are backstage arguing about the finish to this match. Scott D'Amore joins them. So they literally talk...
He joins in arguing? Or
yes, to sort of try and help them, right? So they literally talk about Bay not being the legal man, but D'Amore still says he needs to go think about things and he'll have an answer later tonight. So even
even though you admit, like, there's only one right pinfall then.
And they acknowledge it here. Wait, but he's like, I still don't know.
Was the legal man pinning Hikuleo?
See, I think so. But all I can remember...
If that is the case, then it's obviously Finjuice.
Right. So it's...
But it would depend if the non-legal Finjuice is pinning Hikuleo. Then there's no right there.
And that's great if they explain that, but they never do, right?
If they elaborate more, then it's really simple, but... So
D'Amore says he'll be back with an answer tonight, which is kind of true and kind of not, because we just find out when they basically run down the card for Bound for Glory later. They just, by the way, D'Amore decided this, right? So anyways, I get that they're trying to do something here. It just doesn't seem to really work the way they set it up, which is too bad.
Well, everyone wins, okay? Someone will win the titles, and the Good Brothers don't have to lose.
Right. We then get what was an incredibly long video with Josh Alexander just sort of sitting, talking to the camera about his journey
to... just him, or was it like back and forth?
Just him. Just to this title match. So this was like 8 or 9 minute segment. So this is longer than any sort of like prime target that we get on NXT.
I thought those are around this, no?
I think some of the bigger ones are. So basically, in a nutshell, he grew up poor, kind of isolated. Parents divorced when he was really young. He kind of sounds like he lived in the middle of nowhere. He was also an overweight child, sort of made fun of at school. And then he kind of discovered wrestling and became obsessed. He then sort of talks about his specific love for the X Division when he was a fan, because he felt like regardless of what was going on in Impact, the X Division matches were very often steal the show and be match of the night, which is a very true thing back when I was watching Impact/TNA as well. He then talks about breaking his neck. He's actually injured his neck twice. Once was breaking it, and how that was really the moment. I think
something is with his ear or something, which is why he has to wear the headgear.
Yeah. So he talks about that was the moment where he really realized he needed to take things more seriously. It was something along the lines of he could always wrestle, but he knew he needed to improve his look and his size, basically, and his character work, to his sort of his acting, whatever, his character stuff, to be able to tick all the boxes of a top performer. And I think sort of breaking his neck was that moment where, like, you know, your career could be taken away from you really quickly, so you better work harder and get to where you want to be.
Right.
So he says it'll be historic for him to beat someone like Christian to become champion. He thinks he checks at least 4 of the 5 necessary boxes to do so. That kind of wraps it up. Again, it was incredibly long, 8 minutes, but I was captivated, especially by the first, 2/3 of this. All of it was good, but the first part where he was going over his childhood and growing up was amazing. This felt completely real, and probably was for the most part. And I thought it was fascinating, and has to be. It really, really feels like this is Impact getting ready to make this guy the face of their company, which is what I want, right? Get Get this title off a Christian, off somebody from another company.
Although I think it would have been better if Omega had hung on to it for longer.
I just don't think they're willing to have Omega lose to Alexander like that. I don't know.
I feel like that would have been cooler for Alexander.
It would be bigger for him. But again, this is someone, a TNA legend returning, et cetera, right? So we've got that. So I'm really happy for Alexander and the situation he's in right now, because it looks to me that he's winning. And if he doesn't, I will be very surprised and somewhat disappointed. I thought this package was fantastic. One of my highlights of the show easily. So we then move to a three-team tag match that puts all of the people involved in the Digital Media Championship or if that's what it's called, right? I was going to say the internet belt, but I don't think that's right. So they're in tag teams for belt, this. Pal. So it's Jordan Grace and Falaba versus Crazy Steve and Chelsea Green and John Skyler and Tennille Dashwood. So D'Lo is annoying here because he's trying way too hard during the entrances to put over Decay as creepy, and basically like a hush falls over the crowd and the tone changes and everybody's a little bit nervous because they're so creepy. No, they're basically baby faces that the crowd chants for. They chant like bite her face off and stuff constantly, right? So Decay's bugging me a lot lately, and more than they usually do, and D'Lo didn't help here. So this was like a 4-minute match with just lots of stuff going on, not a lot of flow to it, just kind of everybody get in and get stuff. But again, we're back to where the men will not get any offense in against the knockouts, right?
Heat was a rarity.
So a lot of it was teasing Falaba, almost hitting stuff on the women, especially Chelsea Green to start. We get Skyler interfering. Crazy Steve knocks Skyler off the apron, hits his jumping DDT off the second rope to Falaba, who actually had to stand there quite awkwardly waiting for that to happen. The timing wasn't great here. And then Tennille sort of shoves Crazy Steve to the floor, takes advantage, hits her spotlight kick to Falaba to pick up the win in, as I said, just over 4 minutes. I guess the match was fine for what it was. It was just a way to remind us of who is in this title match at Bound for Glory. And again, like I said, we're back to men getting no offense on women. Jordan Grace, I thought, was the highlight of this. She had a really nice sequence taking on John Skyler somewhere in the middle of this. I don't think there was really enough time for this many people to do anything really impressive, so it ended up kind of feeling clustered and rushed. And I don't have any interest in a digital championship. I'm not a guy who likes them including internet stuff on their show, so I'm hoping these stay as sort of separate things, but who knows? Well, I guess we'll find out. We'll figure out what they're going to do with it. Rhino is in the ring now. He looks all conflicted, and he's about to speak, but Heath's music hits. He makes his way to the ring with a microphone as well. Heath basically starts talking about how confused he is by Rhino's actions, and Rhino at this point won't even look him in the eye. So Heath again recaps his injury, Rhino's lack of communication as he recovered from that injury despite their long sort of close history apparently. Heath then blames Eric Young and Violent by Design for all of it. He begs Rhino to say something. He tells Rhino he loves him, that his family, names his kids specifically, that they miss Uncle Rhino. Rhino even starts to crack a smile here, which I thought he did a good job of, and the crowd is chanting Uncle Rhino. Violent by Design's music hits. They make their way to the ring. Eric Young says Violent by Design is forever, and Rhino can't just walk away from them. Violent by Design is Rhino's family now. Heath and Eric Young, they're kind of standing on either side of Rhino and going back and forth. It's like they're both talking in one ear of Rhino, which I thought was a smart way to position it. So they're going back and forth. Heath says Rhino's been brainwashed by Violent by Design. Heath then puts a hand on Eric Young. Diener attacks immediately, and Rhino finally pulls Diener off of Heath and tosses him, but then Rhino kind of slowly backs up into the corner, looking like he might be setting up to gore Heath, and obviously Eric Young is trying to talk him into it, so you're left wondering what's going on. Rhino slides out of the ring, though, leaves Violent by Design to continue to attack Heath, and no sort of reaction from Rhino. Eric Young does what he's been doing lately. He goes and gets the Violent by Design flag, breaks it over Heath's back as the other two members are sort of holding Heath's arms.
He must have like a flag mechanic on speed dial.
Or he stockpiled a whole bunch of them in bulk. Bought some bulk flagpoles.
He bulk ordered them.
Yep. And Heath is yelling for Rhino. Rhino does nothing. They snap it over Heath's back and drape the flag over his face. So I think this was all presented really well. I just don't really care. I feel like they're spending a lot of time and energy on something where the outcome feels totally obvious to me. If they do end up swerving us at Bound for Glory and Rhino stays heel and kills Heath, then I might be interested. But it really feels clearly telegraphed that Rhino was going to, in fact, join Heath, obviously, right? And break away from Violent by Design. I'm just not that interested. It feels like it's really, really obvious and telegraphed here.
Right.
And I don't think the involvement of Rhino, like, he's done some quick flips back and forth here. But anyways, everyone involved here did a good job, I think. It just doesn't connect with me personally. So then we get a Minoru Suzuki vignette. He's coming to Impact, and that honestly, to me, feels crazy to say. Like, Minoru Suzuki is going to be in Impact. Weird. And I'm hoping maybe in Impact he can actually get a win in North America, because he doesn't seem to at this point. But Impact might be a place where he could pick up a win or two. That would be great. So then we move into Mickie James. Do you remember? She has a Pick Your Poison match. Do you remember who her opponent is?
Savannah Evans.
You do listen to my recaps. It is, in fact, Savannah Evans. And again, Deonna Purrazzo picked this opponent for James ahead of their championship match at Bound for Glory, hence it being called a Pick Your Poison match. So Savannah obviously was chosen.
Should it be like your poison picked or whatever? Because Mickie
You're not picking your own poison. You're picking someone else's poison.
Or your poison has been picked.
It's pick their poison match,
right.
I think, more appropriately.
Exactly.
So Savannah is a large powerhouse, right? So the idea is Deonna has chosen someone that's going to do a lot of damage to Mickie.
Poison sounds like that would be their knockoff of Spin the Wheel, Make the Deal,
which is amazing coming up.
Oh yes.
Oh no, so we already talked about that.
It is coming out next week though. There will be more wheels to be spun.
There will be. So Savannah obviously overpowers Mickie early, but James, of course, counters with her speed and quickness and some kicks to get control. Tasha gets involved because she's here with Savannah. She grabs Mickey's foot at one point. That allows Savannah to land a boot to stop Mickey's attack and take over again. But in the end, Mickie hits a top rope Meteora for a 2 count. Deonna Purrazzo's music hits. She comes out to the ramp. And again, that little distraction allows Evans to take control with a full Nelson slam for a 2 count. Mickie gets out of the way. Evans gets posted to end this. James lands a couple of kicks to the head, like a spinning back kick, then a front kick. Lands her...
Shit kick, you mean?
Yes, tornado DDT or whatever it is, and picks up the win after 7.5 minutes. After the match, Purrazzo gets on the apron and in James' face and even shoves Purrazzo. So why is that a problem? Do you remember?
Oh, yeah.
Why?
The no touchy.
They have a non-contact clause that Purrazzo just violated. Anyways, Ray Walt sneaks into the ring behind Mickie James and takes her out with a clothesline, so we do actually get man on knockout.
He broke the rules.
Right? So, man, this was just a straightforward match. The monster heel using her power to dominate a lot. I still find Evans to be somewhat limited, and she really only executes basic stuff. Like, the most sophisticated thing she did here was a full Nelson slam, and it didn't look that amazing, to be honest. I think that James struggled a bit too much here, because Evans has not been presented as a top star in Impact, even though she did win, what was that, the Monsters Ball match, but she was barely involved in that too. So James was sort of, like, really having trouble with Savannah Evans and even had to bite her at one point to slow her down.
James is the veteran.
And she's heading into a championship match, right? So if you can barely beat Savannah Evans...
What hope do you have against Deonna frickin' Purrazzo?
And technically, Purrazzo did touch Mickie James here, so she should be stripped of the title because that was what we were told. And commentary...
Whoa, do you want her to lose the title?
No, but commentary are even struggling a little bit here because she did come into contact with her. Anyways, the match was nothing special. I guess it was a way for the babyface to take some damage, right? That's going to be the point in the match, is that Mickie got beaten up by this monster and then Matthew Raywalt after, so maybe she's not at full strength because I think Purrazzo's going to retain, but who knows. So Deonna is then asked after this about the no contact clause. She says she did nothing wrong. She didn't hit Mickie. Her Drama King did it for her. But Scott D'Amore walks up.
But she shoved her still.
Right, and Deonna says, you can't yell at me or do whatever you're going to do because I didn't do anything wrong. D'Amore says, yes, it was Raywalt, but he also saw Deonna make contact with Mickie. So I was happy here because they were acknowledging it, right? Because I didn't want them to just not acknowledge it. But anyways, doesn't get great here. So she did violate the non-contact clause, and he could strip her of the title, but he doesn't. Okay, because he wants her to lose the title in the ring at Bound for Glory.
So then why did he even put that stipulation in place?
Right. So Raywalt starts to speak. D'Amore cuts him off and says that Raywalt is banned from ringside And if he violates that, then Raywalt and Deonna Purrazzo are suspended forever. And as we know,
isn't that just firing them?
But has there right? That I didn't like that phrasing either. Suspended forever is your fire.
Suspended is literally like temporary.
Correct.
So that's the whole point.
But
of
again,
being suspended.
I mean, when Scott D'Amore makes a stipulation, he definitely sticks to it, right?
No, and like if I get
except for this time,
if I get suspended from school forever, right? I'm not expelled.
No, not at all.
It's completely different.
But you make a stipulation saying that non-contact.
Contradict it, but then put in another stipulation. Right. So what do they have to be afraid of?
Are we to believe that this is the stipulation he's actually going to honor?
Yeah, the other one didn't really matter.
Right,
okay?
That was just the get ready for the real one.
So
there's some problems here. Obviously, I find this makes D'Amore look really weak, right? He doesn't enforce a clear stipulation that we all witnessed, and then he immediately makes another one. Like, why should we believe?
Like believe and also care about.
So, and I thought that was an issue here. Then we go to Brian Myers with, what is it, the Learning Tree?
Yes.
And it's How to Be a Professional, Chapter 44, Consequences. So Myers says that last week was an embarrassing failure.
What was last week
blood
again?
Needs to be spilled. So remember how he favors VSK, even though VSK is the newest member of this group, and VSK lost last week? So that's his issue, right? Is that there's been problems. But it's kind of interesting because he's not going to blame VSK for the loss to Swan. He blames Manny Lemons and Zicky Diced because they basically didn't come down to the ring, and they're kind of like Beal as well. They're like, well, you told us specifically not to. And Myers is like, that was a test and you guys failed it, right? Because he's still trying to protect VSK for whatever reason. He's like the favorite one of this group.
The favorite child.
Right away, Myers basically future endeavors Manny Lemons, and he's been cut from the group. So then Beal's doing his thing where he's kind of the innocent, naive one. I said he's trying to suck up in my notes, but I don't even know if that's true. He's just kind of like the naive, immature one of the group.
Eager to please or something?
Yes,
maybe?
Exactly. So Myers says that still more heads need to roll. So then Beal tries to take over. He's got like a clipboard, and he tries to basically cut Zicky Dice and then kind of VSK. But Myers tells Beal that he's the one that has been cut.
No!
So Beal is disappointed and sad here, and he asks Myers for one last favor to sign a picture of Myers before he goes. But Myers can't even be bothered to do that and gets VSK to sign it for him. So I can't believe this, but I actually feel sympathy for Sam Beal. He has done a really good job playing the naive rookie that's like looking up to his mentor. That this segment,
even though he's like a garbage human.
Yeah, and this segment actually worked for me, and it leaves you kind of wondering what's going to happen with Beal. So I can't believe I'm saying it, but I've kind of liked the Learning Tree segments. I think they really underuse Zicky Dice specifically so far, and it looks like Manny Lemons is gone, so we'll see where Beal goes, but I actually think I have some sympathy for Beal, which is crazy. We then move into Scott D'Amore's office, and Deonna Purrazzo's old entertainment barrister, basically she used a lawyer a few times earlier, he's in D'Amore's office, and now he's representing Inspiration, so they're not here, but their representative is. And Decay magically appear.
I can understand why they have a representative, because they're pretty iconic hat.
They are. Decay magically appear through teleportation or whatever.
Yay.
And they're there to sign the contract. Rosemary is annoyed that the pen has ink in it because she'd rather sign in blood. Like, it's so... Rosemary, stop. Rosemary tells the lawyer they'll be at Bound for Glory to bite the Inspiration's faces off. I basically can't stand...
That doesn't even sound like an empty threat.
I can't stand Rosemary's acting. She's so over the top, and I say it lately, it's high school drama stuff. It takes me out of every scene she's in right now. I can't stand it. Havoc comes across as a total afterthought because she just sits there and lets Rosemary do everything, but I guess on the plus side, this was short. We then get our final match of the night, which on paper sounds fantastic. It's Alex Zane taking on Trey Miguel. And I showed you that I thought they were wearing very similar gear, right? Like, what was it, black and blue tights, basically?
I think Zane was a little more purple, but I don't remember.
There's my color blindness. But to me, they looked very...
Deficiency.
Very similar. Yes, extreme. It's severe color deficiency. We get lots of holds and counters and respect applause from the crowd to start out. Matthews points out early that this match is slower than expected, and I would definitely have to agree. We get a moonsault by Miguel to Zayn on the floor at one point, and then I told you there was a really cool front flip into a top rope Rana by Alex Zane.
I think it's called a Dragon Rana.
I believe you. We get Trey hits the Nando's kick, a 619 in the corner, and a Meteora off the top to pick up the win.
I don't love that Meteora. It just doesn't.
I don't either. It's not super impactful.
Especially I like the move as when they're standing.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's ever really finisher material.
I would agree. So Macklin runs down, attacks Trey after the match, hits his Mayhem for All, and then the Bullet Club run down, beat down Macklin, and El Fantasmo punches Miguel in the balls to end the segment. Seems to be one of his signature moves now.
I saw something that these guys thought that Bullet Club should get like ELP should win the X Division title, and then
I think that makes sense.
Bay and Hikuleo win the tag titles.
Yeah, I guess
they that's better than Good Brothers.
They need to strengthen that faction and
exactly right.
Give us a little bit more backstory.
And I feel like Bullet Club's kind of dead in Japan, right?
Yes.
They definitely had their time, and I think it's almost getting not quite as bad, but NWO to
right.
It's just been too long.
And they're not really in Impact doing anything other than, hey, they're the Bullet Club. There's no build of them, or we don't learn anything about any of the people in it. It's just they're the Bullet Club and they cheat and they do stuff. So I would like some character development, but we'll see. This match I thought was strange. I guess they're trying to showcase different style from usual, but I loved the triple threat these two had with Laredo Kid a couple weeks ago. So I was hoping for more of that. I was kind of excited for this match, but this was more traditional grounded holds and submissions, really not much high flying at all. Didn't really feel like X Division competitors, and I'm kind of puzzled by the choice on a show where there wasn't a ton of good wrestling. This was the match where I was like, okay, I'm going to get something awesome here that I can recommend. But no, I don't think the match was bad, but these two are capable of so many impressive moves, and we really only saw a couple here, one or two from each guy. It felt like two high flyers were trying to work safe, and maybe they were ahead of Bound for Glory or Trey, I don't know. But I found this match somewhat disappointing. I don't think it was bad, but based off of what I've seen them do before, this was not what I was expecting at all. So then we get a rundown of the Bound for Glory card, which you're going to do later, so I won't get into detail now. But the only real nugget of interest here is that I guess Scott D'Amore decided that the tag team title match now needs to be a triple threat, even though Chris Bay clearly was not the legal man involved earlier today. So it feels like yet another misstep by D'Amore tonight, who's kind of making some weird decisions along the way. But I guess they're just trying to get where they want to get at Bound for Glory, and that's what the route they decided to take. So the main event segment involves the Impact World Championship competitors. So Josh Alexander comes out to the ring first to speak. He says that in 2 days he'll be challenging for the Impact Wrestling World Championship. He risked his X Division title for this match, but what is a risk when he thought he'd never take another risk again? I think referring to his neck injuries and thinking his career was done. He thought he'd live a safe life, working every day, I think construction is what he said, for his family, but by the grace of God, or whatever you believe in, he got to come back to the business he loves. He's scratched and he's clawed to get where he is right now, and he's taking every risk to show his sons that every risk yields the biggest rewards. Christian then makes his way down. He says, here we are, 2 days from Bound for Glory, and he's been here before. He's been on the biggest stages in this industry. He's wrestled.
Main event of WrestleMania, loser.
He's wrestled for and won world championships. He's been in legendary matches that pay-per-views were named after. I assume that's a reference to TLC. He says it comes down to pressure and how Josh deals with it. Pressure is a fickle thing, Christian says. Some fade under pressure, while others, like Christian, thrive under pressure and win world titles. As much as Christian respects Josh Alexander, nothing Josh has done in the past few weeks tells him that Josh has it in him. Josh says he's heard all this criticism before and that it's all too familiar. Josh has something to prove now, just like Christian Cage needed 2 years ago when he first came to Impact. I think he said in 2004, if that sounds right.
No, I think it was 2005 at least. Or it might have been 04, but
I think that's what he said.
I don't think it was 04.
But I didn't make a specific note of that. Alexander says as long as he's cashing the check of a billionaire who owns a different company, which I kind of liked, he'll never be the face of Impact Wrestling. At Bound for Glory, he'll bring the title home where it belongs and slam the forbidden door in Christian's face. I also like that. Christian says Alexander is not even the best wrestler from Canada, let alone in the ring overall.
I mean, that's kind of true because Omega's from Canada.
True, there's a lot of Canadian talent. Josh says if Christian thinks pissing him off will work to his advantage, we'll see how that works, and he sort of takes a shot at Christian and they start to brawl. Security tries
He shot Christian?
No, takes a shot. Security tries to separate them, but he's a walking weapon, so
exactly.
Maybe. He tries
he's a walking weapon, you just shot him with a finger gun. Boom, that's how no one caught him.
Security can't keep them away from each other, so the locker room clears out to try and help. Everyone's out there to break it up.
You love to see it.
Got to. Christian then sort of ends the show holding the Impact World title above his head.
I just thought it's kind of funny how, because on AEW they did like the thing where they took Christian out in that 8-man tag or whatever, right?
Yep.
And then he's been absent, and then he's freaking on like Impact, like having arguments with Alexander and doing this. So I don't know, kind of funny, more inconsistencies, but
a little bit. Yes,
they're still taping, yeah.
Yes, they
so
are.
I guess then that's why they're kind of inconsistent, but I still think it's kind of funny.
For a go-home show to a major pay-per-view, I wasn't really impressed with this show. Impact, I think, has done a great job building Alexander Christian in the main event. It really does feel like a big fight where we're going to get passing of the torch to the next face of the company. I really hope. I also think the Mickie James-Deonna Purrazzo match has been built well, but other than that, nothing really stands out on the card. I do think the X Division match could also be fantastic, regardless of the build that I don't think has been quite as strong, but that match itself could be pretty awesome. So on this show, I don't think there were any impressive matches at all. The Bullet Club Finn Juice opener was pretty good, but again, the finish was kind of took me out of it a bit. The Zayn Miguel match, nothing wrong with it, but it was disappointing compared to what they're capable of. And then in between, we got what I didn't think were great matches with Mickie James, Evans, and then the, I guess you'd call it an intergender tag team match, right? Leading into the internet title, whatever it is. So those two matches I didn't think were great. Segment-wise, I loved everything involving Christian and Josh Alexander, and I think Impact deserves a lot of credit here for doing a good job with just a really realistic build and feud between these two that I've really enjoyed pretty much the whole way through. Violent by Design and Heath did a fine job. I just don't really care about that story at this point. The Knockouts tag contract signing was not good, and Rosemary's really, I think, just bad and frustrating and annoying. And the Purrazzo Mickie James interaction was fine, and I actually kind of like the Learning Tree segment and feel bad for Sam Beal. So I'm going to give this show a B- this week, largely due to the fantastic Josh Alexander lengthy video segment, as well as the main event interaction between Alexander and Christian. And to me, those were the only real standout highlights, and I would actually recommend people go seek. I wouldn't be surprised if Impact has just posted that Josh Alexander video. I bet you they've posted it on YouTube
or on Instagram. Because they usually post even full matches or something.
I thought it was fantastic. You know me, I like reality, and that was just Josh Alexander sitting down and talking about his life and getting to this point, and I thought it was great. So I would say watch that. Show overall not super necessary for you to check out, but a B-. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't very amazing either. All right, so we watched Rampage last night. I'll give some quick thoughts on it. Opening match was Orange Cassidy defeated Hobbs with a Mahi straw cradle, right? I think it was.
Trap, actually.
What was it?
Mouse Trap, because that's his thing, yeah.
So this
Hobbs got angry with the ref and whatnot.
This was Cassidy with his ribs taped from 2 weeks ago, right? Where he got leg dropped through a table by Hardy.
In the ladder match.
So Hobbs dominated basically the entire match, targeting Cassidy's ribs, and I thought he looked pretty good doing it. It was methodically just attacking Cassidy's ribs, and then he sort of took exception, right? The finish, the ref was sort of stopping his attack of Cassidy because Cassidy was in the corner, so he kind of picked up the ref and moved him out of the way, and then Cassidy snuck in and got the pinfall, right? I thought it was an okay match, and I thought Hobbs looked pretty
fine.
good. I mean, Cassidy didn't do anything really.
The finish was, it wasn't great, but it was realistic, I guess.
Right. And then we had Penta came to the ring, right? And there were two guys in the crowd in Super Rana masks, and he sort of ripped off their masks, and I don't know, did we see it? Did he bring them in the ring, or did anything go on from there?
No, FTR attacked him.
Oh, right. Okay. Then we got Anna Jay and Britt Baker. Baker ended up winning the match with the lockjaw, obviously. And then at the end, after the match, she puts the lockjaw in again. Tay Conti runs down, forces Britt to obviously retreat.
Number 1 contender, why is she getting a title shot? Number 5 is first. We all know that.
Right. So I thought Jay showcased some more mat work than usual. I think her elbow strikes look good, but her kicks to me, man, looked really slow and weak. And when she's going to miss them, when I always point that out with some inexperienced wrestlers, like the moves they do that they're supposed to miss sometimes really don't look good. And I think she's kind of
they know they're gonna miss.
Right. So she kind of, it looks like when you and Nate used to be in Taekwondo and they would have you do light contact sparring. You know what I mean? Like you're clearly pulling your kicks, you're not kicking hard. I feel like that's what she looks like on all of her kicks.
Let's talk more about Taekwondo.
I think she has massive potential and she keeps adding things to her offense, but she needs to work on like linking things together quickly and more cleanly. I thought it was a solid match, I guess. It sets up Tay Conti and Britt next, so I didn't think it was bad. Then we got some comments from both competitors ahead of the main event. Andrade basically says he's beaten Pac before and he'll do it again. And Pac needs to remember that Andrade has friends all over the world. So I don't know what that reference was to, but...
He does have friends in Japan, probably,
I don't know
from LIJ.
If he's teasing somebody LFI. Coming or something, though. Like, why would he make that now? I mean,
the ending, someone does come.
I guess that's true. So Pac then talks about he had the first match won before the shenanigans in the iPad shot, and he says he'll get revenge tonight. So then we get the Andrade Pac match that I was super looking forward to. Obviously, it had been recorded, and they talked about people saying that there was tons of hype, right? That this might be the best TV match since blah, blah, blah. I don't know. But anyways...
Since like a month ago.
Like to preface this, Andrade and Pac are literally
Oh my god, literally, this would have been the best TV match since a month ago, because September 22nd was Bryan and Omega, and yesterday would have been that's actually funny.
So these are two of my probably five favorite...
it could be the best in the month.
5 favorite wrestlers in the world, and I'd heard all the hype for this match, so I was like, this is appointment viewing for me. And the match was really good, don't get me wrong, but it did not live up to the hype for me.
It was good, but I think I almost liked it less because it was just too overhyped.
It was.
And I set my expectations way too high just based off of what I had heard people saying.
And I hated the lengthy commercial break right in the middle of it. That hurt it for me too.
Yes, because I feel like if you're live, that was probably much better, right? But yes, the two commercial breaks or so really
just kind of take you out of it.
It felt like we were missing a lot,
and we did actually watch it on picture-in-picture.
But it's not the same.
It isn't the same.
It doesn't really work, and I don't know, it feels like you're missing a lot of the match.
So I liked Kenny Omega, Bryan Danielson much more than this, and that's with me.
And you love both of these guys.
Right, and I like both Pac and Andrade better than I like either Omega or Daniel Bryan. So for me to say that, that's clearly me being honest there, right? I'm not sure how I feel about the Malachi Black, because that was what you're talking about, right? Black kind of came down. There's some sort of alliance. On paper,
I love that, because Black and Andrade are awesome.
Yes.
I really hated Cody ruining the moment, because that's just so Cody.
Right. So describe what happened at the end. I didn't even go over it. So
basically, was a Pac one, yeah?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, Pac one with a inside cradle small package. Lights go out almost immediately after.
And even the commentary was I think Pac won, right? They're basically you couldn't even, it was almost like the lights covered almost the final count.
Right,
sort of
and
thing.
then Black shows up, Miss Pac grabs the chair, Arn does a finger gun, Cody comes from behind, does Cody stuff. I really hated him that he's just able to easily reprimand both Andrade and Malachi Black, especially because Malachi Black has destroyed him by himself too, and so now you're throwing Andrade in the mix. It was just very Cody, but on paper, Black Andrade alliance is very appealing, and if Zelina Vega is ever able to get to AEW, then
she's the queen of the ring, dude. She's busy.
That's true, but she has links to both Andrade and Black, so that would be really cool. But even without Zelina, I'm open to that alliance because I think it'd be really cool.
So I'm hoping or wondering, I guess, if it's Andrade just again paying for this support.
I hope it's not, because I think that'd be either a really cool alliance a la Moose Morrissey, or that'd be a kick-ass tag team.
It would. I don't know how their characters work together, but I trust AEW to sort of figure it out. My new dream
match is them versus the Lucha Bros, because that would be insane.
It would. Speaking of the Queen of the Ring stuff, did you hear how long all of the matches for the women added together was? So what was there? 7 matches, right? Is that right?
I think it was an 8-person tournament. I think, yes.
So that would put 7 matches, right?
Would it? Yeah.
Right?
I don't know.
4 plus 2 plus 1.
Yes.
Right? So I heard the total for those 7 matches was 19 minutes and change.
That's the same length as the triple threat women's match at Crown Jewel.
So that is them, to me, just completely disrespecting that division, right? And just saying we know we have to. And I've seen
some of the finishes. They were really lame.
We have to offer a women's tournament, or people are going to complain that we're leaving them out. But we
don't really want to, and we don't think we can, so we'll half-ass it.
Afterthought seems to be the correct word, right? But anyways,
yes.
So yeah. I thought it was
by everyone because they don't care. Why should we?
I thought it was an okay episode of Rampage, but it kind of felt like the main event was all that really was important there.
And then it also underdelivered just because the sheer hype. Just if it hadn't been so oversold to me, I probably would have liked it a little better.
Like honestly. I came in expecting my comments to be like, "This is a match of the year contender for me because I love these two guys," and it blew me away. But it didn't. I'm not gonna. I thought it was very good.
I don't even think it was much better than the first one, if I'm being honest.
I also agree with that statement. I think I might have enjoyed the first one more.
I think I did too, just because it was the first, and I didn't have to get overly build up in my head. Obviously, we did because it's Pac and Andrade, right. But this one was praised by seemingly everyone else.
Right. We had heard this is an amazing TV match. So it was very good, but not lived up to the hype.
Yeah.
That wraps up Rampage. Do you wanted to talk about the Bound for Glory card and maybe just talk about it quickly? Yep.
So we'll talk about it quick. We probably won't record any predictions, but
no, I mean I might give mine now, but nothing crazy.
So Christian Cage, Alexander. I'm just gonna go in order of the website.
Alexander's got to win. I think at this point.
I would say so as well.
And I'm thrilled with that. Idea because he's amazing.
I don't know. Who'd you book as his first challenger?
Oof. I don't know. Maybe we go back to Ace Austin.
Ace Austin would be cool.
But
I could see how maybe Moose.
They've just done such an amazing job of building Alexander as a realistic character too, which is what he'd been lacking to this point. He'd always been the quieter part of a really good tag team, right? And now it's really he is a singles guy and he can talk and do his own thing.
And I feel like this is the same thing that we were saying for the Lucha Bros and now probably Hangman is. Now you open this to so many more heel challengers because Cage has been reigning for a bit, but it's largely been Omega, right?
And I mean it could be Strowman debuting as a heel too, and that becomes the first way to go. We'll see, but there's lots of options.
I could see him being in the gauntlet match,
Moose,
or
you
get a vignette Ray Walt did.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next we have Peraza, Mickie James.
I think Peraza retains. I don't know. She's had the championship forever. I just don't know.
At the same time, Mickie James isn't really one of their people.
And she's an executive for NWA. I don't know if she has the time or.
And she's kind of old now.
Yeah, I think she's still good. I think the match will be really good. I think Peraza probably retains. Would be my guess.
I think they are. Maybe they can re-get Kylie Ray.
That would be awesome.
She's
in NWA right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Forbidden Door. Next we have it says The Decay.
Ugh.
Versus The Inspiration.
I hope The Inspiration just are booked.
I think it should be The Inspiration. It's their debut, and
Decay are just lackluster.
And they're such a legit tag team for me. They were one of WWE's legit teams in that division, and then they just split them up and then almost immediately it's not even because I think it was supposed because they wanted to do stuff with Peyton Royce, but then they just stuck her with Lacey Evans.
Yeah, they just disbanded them and then did nothing with either of them, and then they were gone.
Although Billie Kay did have the funny bit in the Royal Rumble,
and I don't even think they're amazing in the ring. I think Peyton Royce is pretty good. I think they're
just entertaining.
But Decay have done nothing for me. They just kind of threw Havoc in there because after Nevaeh was gone, they needed something to do, and her look fits the Decay aesthetic, so they shoved her in there. But Rosemary drives me crazy. I want to get her away from the microphone at this point. So I'm hoping that the Inspiration win this in their debut.
Call Your Shot Gauntlet.
Who do we know who's in that? We just know
the ones that it says on here is Swan, Myers, Moose, Morrissey, Eddie Edwards, TBA.
I'm wondering if it's going to lead to some sort of Moose Morrissey confrontation at the end, and we figure out where that goes.
Yeah. So, I'm just trying to think what a possible.
I think Moose as a Call Your Shot winner would be kind of cool, and that would put him against Alexander. I could also see potential
with Strowman if he debuts here.
Yep, Alexander Moose would be cool. They could call that shot, I guess. I don't know.
I can't think. I will. go with Morrissey because I like Morrissey.
You do like Morrissey.
Yes.
I do not want to see him in a singles match with Josh Alexander, but that's just me. I'd rather see Moose, frankly. But anyways, what else we got?
Well, Carmelo Hayes has shown us you don't have to go for the big boy. Okay?
That's right. You can go for the secondary title.
Or if you're Rhino, go for the tag titles.
Right.
3-way X Division title match.
Remind me who's in that? ELP?
Macklin and Trey.
I feel like ELP is gonna win. I hope it's not Trey. I'm fine with Macklin because he's been awesome.
I'm gonna go with ELP.
Macklin's low key undefeated right now, so that might matter too. Or I guess they could have him not.
He doesn't have to lose.
Right, he doesn't have to take the pin. I think that's most likely. ELP pins Miguel, and away we go.
Skylar, Baugh, Grace, Steve, Rain, Green, digital media thingamajig.
No idea who they want to have.
I would say Jordan Grace. I heard like that.
Yeah,
I think that'd be good for her to carry that belt.
But then, so I guess that championship going forward could be held by men or women, is what they're trying to say. Which is kind of an interesting thing to do. And if that's the case, Jordan Grace is by far the most legit opponent for men because she's wrestled a bunch of men and looked awesome. So yeah, I would say Jordan Grace is my front runner, and I'd love Jordan Grace, so I hope she gets it.
VBD versus Heath and blank.
Don't care, but I assume it's going to be Rhino joining with Heath, and that they crush Violent by Design and end that feud, because it seems like the most telegraphed thing ever. So it's kind of lost my interest.
Yeah,
to be honest.
I would go with the same.
Yeah. I hope I'm wrong and they swerve me, because I'd be way more interested if they do.
Yeah. And then finally, Good Brothers versus Finjuice versus Bullet Club tag titles.
Hopefully Bullet Club.
I'm gonna go with Bullet Club.
Good Brothers aren't even there anymore. They're basically way more involved with AEW than they are Impact. They've just been doing those stupid little, like, off the cuff vignettes, it feels like, as they're on the road with AEW, reminding us they still exist and are the champions. So get the belts off them, send them to AEW, send them anywhere. I just don't need to see them anymore.
No, don't send them an AEW. Why would they go? No.
I think Bullet Club needs something to make them a bit more legitimate, so I imagine that's the route we're going to take.
Yeah.
Yep. So, you said there is nothing for figuring it out this week, no new drops or no new rumors of anything. So, I think that's going to bring us to the end of episode 66, yeah?
Yes, sir.
And we will be back. I'll be back Monday or Tuesday for sure to talk about Ring of Honor. I think 527 we're up to.
You also Bound for Glory.
Plan on watching Bound for Glory. Are you interested in watching any of it?
I might, yeah.
Okay, so we may sit down and talk about that as well at some point. I don't know when we'll have time. But again, we have a week off coming up, so I should be able to carve out time to do that. So keep an eye out for a couple things coming out this week. Other than that, we'll definitely be back here on Saturday for episode 67. Oh, we also have to do Dynamite.
Yeah, 66B.
66B, we'll just be looking at Dynamite that's on tonight. Will be coming out.
67 will be back to normal.
Wow, we got a lot.
Dynamite is on Wednesday.
So keep an eye out. We got a bunch of stuff coming out, it looks like. And I'd just like to point out to any listeners, it's all free. Because any other podcasts I listen to that are putting out this much stuff, there's a Patreon, there's some paywall behind. You get their main show and then you get everything else if you pay for it. We're still giving you as much coverage as we can possibly fit into our week for free, so I hope you appreciate it. We really do appreciate anyone that's listening to anything that we put out there. We look forward to seeing you back here on Saturday, if not before, and until then, take care.